Hello. We're back. We're back with Kenzie content. Okay. Oh, hold please. Dang it. Welcome back. Sorry, my screen just closed where I have that interview we're gonna watch. Let me get to it real quick. Hello, welcome back. We just did a Nolan Wells live. If you missed that, please go back and replay. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you to everyone for being here in the live chat. Hello. Hello, I am here. Hello, Nicole. I see Abuelita, Evie, Debbie. I know. Thank you. You lost to a girl for becoming a member. I know that was in the last live, but definitely check out the previous Nolan Wells live that we did just like an hour ago. Hello, Green. Can't wait. Yes, we are covering an interview that I found. Actually, I saw on TikTok, and then I found out that it was on here on YouTube by a channel called Ivory Rose Knows. I'm more familiar with her on TikTok, but I was glad to see that she was also on here. I see Crease, Debbie, Ramon. Hey, Ramon. Creatively Inspired. We're going to be reviewing. Oh, wait, I didn't even finish telling you. We are going to be reviewing an interview with Bubba. It is from a month ago, at least it says on the live in the description. And we know how I feel about Bubba now. We know we read the paperwork where it said that Rosie was at the crash scene, but we have established that that was not accurate. That's not true. And so I just, like I said before, I want to keep that in mind as we watch this interview. I think people think Bubba is a bad guy because he has ties to Mackenzie, but I don't actually think Bubba is a bad guy. Do I have some questions? Yeah, of course. But let's get through this interview. It's kind of long, so grab your drinks. I got my drinks. Yes, please hit the like button. Hello, Melanie. Hello, Laura. Edith and Amanda. Good to see everyone. Libra vibes. Hello. I know it's been a while that I did Kenzie stuff, but I've been doing some work behind the scenes, so we will definitely be talking about Kenzie this week. Okay, let me get this pulled up. It is in a vertical because it was a TikTok, so but I have it on full screen, so we'll be fine. This is by Ivory, and it was a panel, so some of the voices we don't know. But I'm here to listen to what Bubba has to say in this interview. I haven't watched this.
What's going on?
Nothing. What's going on? All right, so man, I got questions.
Ask me questions, whatever you want to ask me.
I'm not even going to ask. You want to just talk? It saves me the trouble of having to ask.
I mean, I don't even know what to talk about anymore. I've just seen so much crap, and I guess the most stuff I've been seeing is me and Rosie being by the crash scene at the time of the crash. It's crazy.
We did think that we did read the paperwork or the report. So I am guilty of that. But again, like, I know it's easy to put him in the same box as Kenzie. Like, oh, I don't like Bubba and he defends Kenzie and Kenzie's a schmurder. I get it. But let's not do that. How does that sound? Sounds like a better idea. And let's just be open-minded about what he has to say. Clearly, he's going to defend Kenzie and his girlfriend. So at the end of the day, at least I can respect him for that.
It's crazy. So
yeah, I've been seeing that. I never seen that. That doesn't.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's crazy. No, so like me and Rosie, we never had Life 360. I don't know. I just never had parents who enforced that on me, so I never had it on my phone. The Life 360, that was like that. So that was Davion, and that was like a whole group of friends that Davion had. That I mean, I knew I was friends with them. I wasn't hanging out with them on the regular, but I've hung out with them before. But that was like a whole group that had Life 360, and it was mainly for, if everyone's at one person's house, let's go here, and they'd be able to see it on Life 360. You wouldn't have to bug each other and stuff and whatnot. So Me and Rosie, no, we did not have Life 360. We did not know that. And where her driving past.
I saw someone say something like, wasn't this dude talking shit? Listen. Speaking of talking shit, no, not that I know of. But I don't really know. So there's that. At least into the situation that you're referring to. He wasn't talking shit, he was telling the truth. Interesting. Hey, Just Pepper. Hello, Selena.
The crash comes from is her driving down Pearl Road past Progress. And somewhere down the line that got miscommunicated, that got transcribed differently to the police, saying that she just drove past the crash site and didn't like say that she witnessed it, nothing like that. I do find it odd, though. I do find it odd that the police think that somebody tampered with stuff in the car. You know, like how they're like, oh, it looks like when this first happened, like I can't remember who we heard it from, but like it wasn't from police. It wasn't from anyone credible. We had heard that they thought someone had gone through the trunk because the trunk was found open or something like that. It was something along those lines where we heard that like in the beginning, and then it never like really went anywhere. I mean, we just thought it was like a rumor, and then now we see where this rumor stemmed from in the case files and stuff with the police saying, is there a fourth, is there a runner or whatnot? But I think if there was anyone that tampered with anything in the car, I feel like it would be on camera. Like I feel like that last camera footage I've seen where you see the car really go into the wall. I feel like you'd see anybody that pulls up to the scene, goes past it. That's another thing too. Like if any of us drove past it, they would have seen us drove past it. That would have been on camera. That would have been investigated. But so I don't really know where that stuff comes from. But so I don't know. Like, and I also see like people saying like, I don't know. I just saw this random post where it's like they were on Xanax. People like, I'll tell you now. Like I know this for a fact. I know Dom messed with that type of stuff. I know he experimented with a lot more harsh things. But when it comes like me,
pause. Okay, so no one's victim blaming, no one's victim shaming. But like we know that, right? We've already established that we already know what was going on with Kenzie and Dom. We've seen it for ourselves in the text messages. I do want to say about the whole rug investigation, like if Rosie, yes, there's a document titled drug investigation or whatever. We know there was a DEA agent involved in this case, but after everything that I know now, it's like, obviously Rosie didn't have anything to do with it after the fact because they investigated it, right? And if you think that the investigation was thorough and that Kenzie got what she deserved, then how could you say that they let Rosie go if she was involved in something? I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to put my thought together. So clearly we know who was being investigated and what was being investigated. And so I just want to keep that in mind as well, that like we know what was going on. I don't know. Hi, boo-boo. I don't know why we're not believing people that know them the best instead of strangers who have opinions based on things they think they know. It open and everything scattered. Yeah.
Rosie and anyone else there that night. I don't really know as much about Mackenzie. Like I don't know what she's done with Dom and what she hasn't done with Dom too much. I mean, I would assume she's maybe experimented a little bit more because, you know, with Dom being around, I don't know. But for me, for Rosie, for the other two people that were there that night that nobody wants to talk about, the most harsh thing we've ever done in our life is mushrooms. I mean, they come from the earth. I don't really think that they're that harsh.
We want to talk about it. We want to talk about who else was there and what they have to say. Is this Nina girl? It's in the police documents, so I'm not outing anyone here or anything.
Talk about the most harsh thing we've ever done in our life is mushrooms. I mean, they come from the earth. I don't really think that they're that harsh. I don't think that they're a drug addict type of drug, you know. I think it's really more like we're teenagers, let's experiment with this, you know. I mean, I'm still a smoker to this day. I still smoke weed. It's legal now in Ohio. I don't really I'm not really ashamed or shy by that whole aspect of drugs, but so yeah, no, like there was no, like I don't know if they took anything earlier. I don't know what they did, or I know that they went to the zoo, and I knew that they were at some form of grad party before they saw us. That's like anything in between.
So this is Ivory Rose. I found her on TikTok. She's on both platforms, and she's aware that I'm using this video. She was so kind to allow me to use it, to review it. So shout out to her. Sub up. I'll drop the link in a second. And it's just a panel. They were just having a good conversation, and Landon came up.
In there, or what, like the specific details that happened at those events, we don't really know. Like we weren't there. We've only heard what they've said to the police.
Mushrooms are legal in Washington State, by the way, too.
They're legal in Colorado too. I know that. That was another reason. Fun fact: the kids that were texting Davion while he was in the car, and they texted him a picture of a view they were in Colorado, and one of the main reasons why they go to Colorado is because they are illegal there, and it's like, you know, they got crazy sick views. It's like for anyone, like I don't know. I hate how the whole world's trying to look at like just us four, me, Rosie, Dom, and Dave and Kenzie. Like, oh, we're dry. No, like the whole group, like everyone that's involved, everyone that's going and talking to the police, all these people, like they're all involved with that stuff. They all know what's going on. They're all consciously aware that this stuff was going on. Like for people to sit here and knock Kenzie or even Dom's or even Davion's parents, like you can't knock them for what their kids were doing at the time. Because I'll tell you this now, there's parents that were on the football team where we're out there drinking underage with them. We're out there.
I love that Bubba says that, Landon. We can know him by Bubba, but his name is Landon, so I'm trying to address him as that. But what was he saying? Oh, I like that he said that because it's true, right? Like we know there was a whole shit ton of stuff going on, and some parents were aware, some were not. Tomato.
They're smoking underage with them, so it's like it's stuff like that where this stuff happened in Strongsville all the time. So it's not like something that we can like. The only reason that you can knock these parents for it is because now it's national news. That's really the only reason why people can knock them. Any other reason, you can knock 70% of the parents that live in Strongsville because all their kids did the same shit.
And right, when you go on Netflix too, it's not like Netflix is just a small little company that nobody knows about, right? And I mean that for everyone involved in the documentary, is you chose to go on there and you chose to put that information even further out into the public, all of it. And that's not throwing shade at anyone or Landon. I'm just saying, like, that's just a fact that you made the choice to go on Netflix, and it is what it is.
All the same thing. Yeah.
Well, Strongsville's not very big anyways, is it, Landon?
Not really, no. I mean, it's not the biggest, but I would say like all of the cities surrounding it, like friend-wise, everyone's friends. But like when it comes to sports and it comes to competition and stuff like that, it's very divided. It's like, oh no, it's us versus the other cities, you know. But when it comes to friends and knowing people, it's very like everyone knows each other. Like I know a lot.
We're listening to Ivory Rose with she's speaking with Landon, Bubba from The Crash, and then there's other people on the panel who I'm not sure, except my beautiful friend Jen down here. I know her, but it's just a panel, so we're listening in on this Bubba interview.
A lot of people from all the cities that surround Strongsville.
So I have a question for you.
What's up?
You having been there that night, obviously, and knowing them and know how they left and the situation. What can I ask? What do you believe happened?
There's two things that I believe happened. One, and this is like, because when I look at this case and I look at the evidence and I look at the court and everything, it seems to me that the police were really trying to stretch everything. Like they're really just trying to stretch stuff to make it fit a certain narrative. They're trying to make everything work out to where they can get her off on these charges. And like, that's the part that I disagree with. Like, I really just want to know the truth. And to me, like the information that we have of that 4-minute drive, is only 5 seconds. Like we only have 5 seconds and a couple videos on camera of them driving past streetlights. Like that's all. That's the only information we have. There's no information on phones. There's no text.
If you can't chill, like, chill out, Mila. Bubba does matter. You weren't in the car either. Was I in the car? Were you in the car? Were we all in the car? We all squished in the back seat smoking a fatty? No. Chill out.
Text messages, Davion was on his phone, like the on the road that they crashed on, and there's no evidence of him calling police,
Like
texting.
minute, right?
Yeah. There's nothing where they're like, there's nothing from that drive. And so for me, like the most I can make of it is reckless driving. Maybe they turn down the road and how fast, because I know this one thing about Dom and Mackenzie, and I don't know how like often they would try to do it, but I know they would try sometimes to see how fast.
Lacey says I was in the car. Yeah, I know. Me too. Juvenated. No, but we're all cute. Hey, credit to Rosie for that. We are all cute. Millie, if you want to go, yes, I do know about that. Only Kenzie was, and she ain't talking. Well,
they could get home from certain spots. Now, does that mean they're going to drive 100 miles per hour through back roads? No, I don't know. They never really went into great detail about that. I don't know if it was like, testing out different routes, doing whatever. It could be a numerous amount of different things that they could have been hinting towards that. But, at the most, in my opinion, is it could be reckless driving. No, let's see how fast we can get down this road. And the end of the road at that rate of speed came too quickly. Like that's the most like hostile thing that I could see in this case. Now I am open, and I do believe that like a medical episode could have happened. Anything else could happen if there's evidence that supports that. There's evidence, and there's like a significant amount of evidence that needs to be investigated. I think that should be investigated further, because like I preach this to this day. Like me and Rosie and the 2 other kids that were there that night, and like even all of our families, like we sit here and we still think like we don't know how our 2 friends lost their life. Like we still sit here, we don't know, because like we have theories, we have assumptions, we have things that we could think of that have, evidence that kind of supports it, but it's never been properly investigated by experts who, you can take their word for it,
Right.
And that's like the biggest way that we feel. And like, I don't know, I guess those are my 2 biggest things, is like some form of like a medical episode like that, or even like them reckless driving, and the airbags deploying before, and then becoming like unaware and not being able to like control the car. Like maybe who's to say that they weren't able to slow down at the speed they were going, at the distance they were at when those airbags went off, like who's to say they weren't able to slow down? And that moment right there is just that moment that messed it all up, Yeah.
Well, see, I kind of agree with you on that, Landon, because that when those 2 kids went into the cop shop and said that Davion was on his phone at 5:35 and the accident happened at 5:36. If Kenzie and Dom were fighting or there was any shit going on inside the car, do you really think he would have been on his phone?
Yeah, no. I don't think he would have. And another thing that kind of touches base on that is like, so there's certain individuals, I'm not going to name names, but there's certain individuals that try to say that me or that Rosie is a liar because we've never seen Mackenzie and Dom fight. Oh, we're a liar. But
I did call them a liar, because I'm like, how could no one ever see them fight, right? We saw how toxic it was in the text messages. Some of you live by the text messages. Some of you hate me because we saw what we saw in the text messages, and because I think she deserves a new trial. That doesn't mean I think she's innocent of everything. I always tell you guys, don't get it twisted. I've been going at it in the comments with you guys because it needs to be addressed. And we've seen how toxic the texts are, but it goes both ways, right? Like, yeah, okay, maybe she was a little more controlling, or maybe she was more angry. I don't know. Like, at the end of the day, we just saw text messages, and there's so much more than that, right? There's like physically hanging out, and that's not the first person we hear say that they've never seen Kenzie and Dom fight. very abusive or very abusive relationships or relationships that are heavily domestic violence situation type, sometimes people have no idea. So it's like, well, there's that. Um, no, I don't think Rosie had anything to do with it. I used to think Rosie had something to do with it. They did not. I don't think it's there are 3 peeps in the car, 1 lives, she ain't talking in shrooms, and nothing had to do with this. No, I don't think so. What? He could still be on his phone trying to ignore them arguing. 15 is so young to be dating that serious, in my opinion. I agree. That's a lot of self-restraint for them to fight in private. You never know when DV is taking place sometimes. Exactly, Barbie. Thank you.
Then there's text messages where it clearly shows that we know. Here's the thing. We've never, with our 2 eyes, have seen Kenzie nor Dom raise their voice towards each other. We've never seen them become hostile. None of that.
You're not the only one that said that. When I heard
He's not. And yes, Kenzie would tell Rosie that they were fighting, but again, that's just telling her via text message. I mean, I probably wouldn't tell my friends either. You know what I'm saying? That's how it happens behind closed doors when you least expect it. I was in a toxic marriage and I let nobody see it. Yeah, I have a friend that was in a situation like that and I had no idea. No idea. And this is like a friend from like middle school, high school to like now. I don't have much communication with her now, but she was in a very abusive relationship and I didn't know it for years. Especially because she had been dating him for a long ass time too. We used to like go out to the bars together. And so thank you, Jakey. Good to see you.
when I was listening to the interview,
babe,
other
but-
people said the same thing.
Yeah, I know Blair, Dom's best friend, said the same thing.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think Dom's mom and brother said the same thing and kind of acted surprised when they found out the text messages or whatever was going on. So like, yeah, no, like it was very uncommon for them to like have an argument or something like that in front of people, you know? And like, there's been multiple, like,
Thank you, Barbie.
I don't know. I would say out of all the times I've hung out with them over that summer, because really like for me personally and Rosie, honestly, like we really started hanging out with Dom and Kenzie over that summer. Like Kenzie and Rosie weren't best friends for like 3 years, 4 years prior. No, they really started talking. Like I think actually it's crazy. There's a Snapchat video from Kenzie's phone that like was put in evidence files where she's talking about like pearls and she's talking about getting her nails done and she'll tip a girl. That was actually sent to Rosie. And that was one of the first times that Rosie and Kenzie like actually hung out privately together for Rosie to do her makeup. That was the first time. So whenever that video was taken is when they started talking and really became friends. So they weren't like best of friends, but they were like close friends and they were just getting closer and closer and closer as the days go on, you know? And it was the same thing for me and Dom. Rosie and Kenzie were doing their thing. Me and Don would have to do our thing. You know, it was as the weeks were going on, we're getting closer and closer and closer. And I was finding out more about them. But never once in any of these times have we ever.
Hey, shout out to Landon in the house. Hi, Tracy, new sub. Thank you for being here. Oh, sorry, my screen was freaking out. I smoke herb. My parents who weren't abusive or let me stick. I have a GTR relationship. Interesting. Hey, Vicky.
Or witness them like be hostile or even like catch an attitude or like act a certain way toward each other. Like we've never seen that. And I know like Rosie knows that there has been fights. Like we know that there have been fights and there has been things that's gone down in the past. But the only thing that really I remember talking about over text or finding out over text was the whole highway incident. Like when that whole highway incident 2 weeks prior, Kenzie actually texted Rosie. She texted Rosie about it and shit like that. And they ended up hanging out that day and talking about it. And like Kenzie was really on the fence about like leaving Dom because she didn't know if like that was how he reacted when he would like, because my whole thing about Dom is that he's kind of like me in a way. Like he's quiet until you make him pop off, you know? And then when he pops off, he just goes over the top. He kind of goes over extreme and it doesn't help the situation at all. You know, like it all plays a part in how toxic the relationship is, you know, and if those two individuals know how they react in certain moments and how they react to certain information and stuff. And just, you just have to kind of like know that that's how they're going to react and not take it a certain way. And I don't think either of them were to that point in their relationship yet. You know, I think like one of them would say something and the other one would like take it to complete, like over the extreme, and it's just a battle from there on out, you know, but nothing that's, we've never heard or seen anything that's ever like deathly or bodily harm in any sort of way, you know, and
Nothing too crazy.
yeah.
Landon,
and like
can I ask you a
things,
question?
hold up. Yeah. Yes. But like another thing I want to reiterate too is like the amount of like times, like for the highway incident, for instance, like every time something like that would happen, it's always like Kenzie wanting to leave Dom. You know what I mean? So that's like when this whole narrative of Dom wanting to leave Kenzie and this and that, it's like, this does not make sense. It makes no sense whatsoever. Like knowing these individuals personally makes no sense.
I want to bounce off that, what you just said. So now you knowing them and being around them, and especially
They were always threatening to break up with each other like every other day. I do remember the video. Yeah, I do think there's two sides to every story though. He's a talker and his stories keep getting something new added. I don't think so. I've always kind of heard the same thing from Bubba. From all the interviews I've seen, I mean, it's pretty much the same. He says the same thing. Yeah, court lurker, you're not wrong. Teens need to be taught about toxic DV.
there that night, you know Christine Russo, right? You know Dom's family, or you don't know her?
So here's the crazy part.
Oh,
Here's the crazy part. They want to knock me so hard. They've never met me.
oh,
Well, here's the crazy part. My parents, Rosie's parents, the other girls' parents that were there tonight have all met Dom and Kenzie. They know Dom and Kenzie. They've met them multiple times. But yet I've never met we've never ever met any of Dom's family. Dom's family never came around. We knew of his brothers. We knew of his mother. I've never heard about his sister up until she made this podcast now. Like I knew he had a sister, but I didn't know how involved and all that. I knew a little bit. He told me a little bit of like him and his dad's history and stuff, but I don't know to the fullest extent how involved they are in his life and whatnot. So like, I don't know. Yeah, like that always just blows my mind. It's like they sit here and try to bash it. We've never met you guys. You're not their friends. Where it's like, well, my parents have met Dom Mackenzie and Davion. I mean, so with Rosie's parents have met all of these kids. So why haven't we met their parents? I don't know. You know, I just don't know.
So that's a good point. But let me ask you this. Why do you feel like Christine Russo is pushing the narrative that she intentionally did this?
Yes. Yes. I do think that they're trying to overtake the public's opinion, because when it comes to appeals, I think that varies a lot. I do think that with this whole Netflix doc, they got to see it in October early. So we actually, all parties involved, me, Rosie, Kenzie's family, we were all promised an early viewing. Well, our side, me and Rosie, and I think from the last thing I heard, Steve and Natalie didn't get an early viewing either. None of us got an early viewing. It was only the families, Davion and Dominic's families, who got early viewings. And I guess there was some things that they didn't like that some of us had said. And I'll only explain the nature of those. I won't go too deep into detail. I went on it in a different live. But it involved rugs and it involved just stuff of us hanging out and whatnot, and like things that I'm not ashamed of, that we're not ashamed of to talk about. You know, we're just not ashamed of talking about it and sharing those stories. And I mean, respectively, I could see how a family member wouldn't want those stories to come out. And my whole thing is like, so what they have said, to what the families have said, is they had editing power, that they were able to make editing suggestions when they saw it in October. And they got a lot of stuff removed, because I think I have like 18 hours of footage with that Netflix documentary where like we went to multiple different locations, me filming multiple different things that I've done with these boys. And it was going to be like B-roll film, and there was interviews and stuff. And I mean, we went into great detail on everything. And then
interesting. So there's a lot of footage missing. Pickles, I don't know if you're in the right place then. Respectfully. Okay, Jakey. I've already talked about why I changed my opinion about the trial. Many times.
It came out like it was completely different. Like I would say we didn't get an early viewing. We got a phone call where they ran us step by step through the documentary. And at that point in time, I'd say that was about like a month and 2 weeks out from it releasing. It was still supposed to be a 3-episode documentary where the first episode was supposed to be all me and Rosie. The second one was the prosecution, and the third one was Mackenzie. And then it came out, and it was only an hour and 20 minutes. So, like, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And really, like, my only thing of why I was dissing Rosie and Bubba is because I thought maybe they did drive by the scene. And honestly, it was just because they were associated with Kenzie. And that's actually really ignorant. Because that's not a reason to sit up here and judge him so hard on something that we don't even know what really happened. But he was friends with all of them. Now the whole best friend thing, I know it's like, oh, well, in the documentary, he says he's best friends with Davion, but here it's like this, and then this person said that. At the end of the day, all of those people are the only ones that know, right? So yeah, I have never been disrespectful. And like I said, if you don't want public information out there like everyone else's is, don't go on a Netflix documentary. And I mean that like in general, not to like Landon or anyone in specific, but I thought they lied. Lied about what? How are you going to believe Netflix? They are notorious for their own spin. Rosie did talk to the detective. She did talk to the detective. He never followed through with a subpoena. Yeah, and I guess, and I've told you guys, Kenzie and Rosie are not Chapo. Like, they were not the ones drug dealing here. They participated in it, sure, to an extent. But no, Barbie, you're fine.
So they cut a lot of stuff out. I really want to know what. And I don't know, like I would push for them to release the full footage, because now I got people out here saying that I've said disrespectful things about Dom and that I'm lying about Dom. In reality, it's not. Like, it's the complete truth. It's just the truth that they don't want to hear. You know, they don't want people to hear, you know?
Dominic, Landon, can you clarify for the chat who, out of the 3, Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davion, who were you the closest with?
Davion.
Okay, so now with that being said, if you felt that Mackenzie took your friend away on purpose, how would you be honest with that with the public?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. I would, like, and Davion's not like my average best friend. Like, I have 2 best friends that, you know, that when I get off the phone here, I'm gonna go play the game with. I sit there every night with them. I talk to them every day.
What I meant by that, I didn't realize I wasn't clear about the El Chapo comment. Because if you remember in the documentary, Rosie says something like, oh, the police, you know, they just want to find the next drug dealer. And it's like, back then, I didn't know what I know now. And so it's like, wait, okay, I get what she means now. Like, because there was obviously a drug investigation involving Dominic. And so now I'm like, okay, now that I know the truth, it's like, okay, I see what she meant in that documentary, and it just shows that clip, which makes her sound really like she didn't want to get caught or something like that, you know? So it's interesting when you know other facts of the situation than compared to when you don't.
Was a lot different than that. Davion, you know, the fact that he lived with me and we shared like our personal lives together, and like I don't know, he was kind of more of a brother to me. He wasn't, yeah, he wasn't like, I wouldn't even say a friend or a best friend. He was more of a brother to me, and there was a lot of things that he knows and that I know about him that nobody will ever know, and nothing that pertains to this case, nothing that's important. It's stuff that's in our personal life. So it's just like I share a different bond with him. And yeah, no, I do preach just a lot of what you said, is that like, if I truly felt that this girl murdered my best friend / like brother, I wouldn't be doing this right now. I would be sitting there on TMZ. I'd be sitting there on my platform with hundreds of thousands of subscribers.
I know, I get it, Pickles. We can have a friendly discussion and agree to disagree. Absolutely. And I absolutely agree with you. Like Mackenzie is just unlikable. Yeah, exactly. But like should Deviant or oh my god, I almost said Davion. R.I.P. Davion, Dom and Davion. Should we make Rosie and Bubba unlikable just because he knows them? Like that's kind of messed up, right? I don't want that. I don't want people to do that to me.
Bashing and talking shit about this girl, but I just
that's what I've always said as well, that you would have no reason because you were the closest with him to side with her unless you really believed her.
Yeah. And another thing, just to touch on Davion, since we're on Davion real quick, there's another thing too that like I really just want to get out there that it upsets me a lot.
It's like a lot of you right now, a lot of people are saying like, oh, in other chats and other creators, oh, don't like, fuck Melly because she's switched sides. And it's like, no, I haven't. Not completely. Like, yeah, I think she deserves a fair trial. That doesn't mean I'm just like, oh, okay, forget everything else. Like, it's not even like that. It's just the whole trial of it all. And and we don't have to agree on that. Like, it's fine. But, I'm not also going to ignore other information just because people don't want information out there. And so I don't think it's fair, like, to judge Bubba. I'm going a little bit all over the place. I have a lot on my mind right now. I don't think, and I did put that Bubba in that category with Kenzie because they just knew each other and were friends. But like, Bubba actually kind of sounds like a cool guy. I know. You guys are going to come for me, but please don't.
In a way, and it's the fact that like at some point in time after this accident, somebody in some group or someone came up with the narrative or came up with the way where Davion doesn't matter as much or that he's like some form of cargo in the car. And I feel like it's just kind of bullshit. Like it's just bullshit because it's like I don't know who in their right mind would ever come out and say that or like say such a thing of that nature to put into the media and to put into the world to think about, because like at the time nobody thought that. Like nobody was like Davion didn't deserve to be there. Like everyone knew why Davion was there. It wasn't like it didn't make sense that Davion.
I'm sure if anyone could change the way this turned out, anyone would do it. Probably even some of us. Like have been so deep into this and like, holy shit, it's been a lot. People need to. I'm just saying from being on the other side. People need to understand that we're not taking sides. We are supporting facts law, and y'all would be surprised who be in my DMs or in my messages saying that they agree. They just don't want the backlash. Like, let that speak for itself. You can think what you want about me, about thinking that she needs a fair trial, but like, at least you can say that I'm fair in looking at both fucking sides. Period.
And was not in the car. Like that was a very, like out of all the people in our lives, I would say he was at the top of the list of being a victim in that car. Me, Rosie, we all could have been subjected to being in that car at any point in time, So it's like this whole thing of him being like cargo and not his wife not mattering as much. Just bullshit. It's bullshit. I don't know who came up with it.
It's absolutely disgusting.
And then it turned and then it carried over to some race thing. And I don't know. Like it blows my mind that like that's just like how the world is treating this. And it has nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with how close he was to these people. It has nothing to do that he wasn't meant to be in the car. Like no. The things that happen in this world are meant to happen and they happen for a reason, and I have my reasonings and my beliefs on why I think they were able to leave this world. I think that it's more of a positive thing that they were able to escape this evil world that we live in. I mean, look at the stuff that they're doing with this case, in the media, in the world, like that's the evil that like we're talking about here, where it's just like they were able to escape that in a way. And I don't know. That's kind of how I look at the situation and stuff like that.
So
sometimes it's the only way you can look at things like that.
Yeah, I agree. So now let me ask you this. Why do you think that the Russos, because I feel like not so much the Flanagans, or maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I don't feel like they're pushing this narrative as hard. Am I making sense?
Awkward.
Yeah, I think it's
Why does Russo want her to be guilty of murder so bad, do you think?
there's a lot of different
I'm gonna need one of my mods to time me out.
areas I could touch on this, and like one is like I know this. I know Davion's parents aren't as comfortable, I think, of speaking up in the public light as some of Dom's family, you know, and I think that that's a reason. I do think after seeing a lot of the case files, you know, and seeing like some of the emails that Davion's mom sent to the police, like thinking that like there's one about Rosie posting some post about home not being home no more. And they thought that that was her talking about me talking to the police, but that wasn't it. Like the whole thing that these families and the prosecution forgot about, at least when it comes to me and Rosie and like some of us friends that were there that night, is that like, man, we had a whole life that we had to like keep going with. Like we were going to college in 2 weeks after they died. It's not like we just put everything on pause and sit here and grieve for months and months. Like, no, like, you know, we had 2 weeks to kind of wrap our head around things, and we were off in college, you know, and when we were off in college, I don't know if anyone's college students in here, but you know how it is being a freshman in college. It's like, it's hectic. Everything's different, you know, and the last thing we were kind of thinking about was the stuff that happened back at home. We were kind of just going to let that play out and let it go like how it was supposed to go. And then once we realized it wasn't going like a factual and right way, we're like, wait, hold on, what the hell, you know? And so, I mean, I would say when it pertains to them wanting to push this narrative, I would say that allegedly.
Lacey is in my DMs, girl. Not to mention they did go after Landon's football career. Yeah, like it's like learning lessons to be learned on the YouTubes. Yeah, that's not okay, Barbie, about going after his football career. The Flanagans didn't seem like they even cared, to be honest. They came back from vacation. They didn't come back from vacation for a week, and they were joking during their interview with Jesus, just weird behavior. Interesting, Christine. That had to be really hard for them, honestly. Yeah, we just like that is really hard. I have been a freshman in college before, and I can't imagine. I'd be stressed.
Allegedly, surrounded in allegedliness.
Entertainment purposes only.
Yeah, Dom provided a lot for that family. He did a lot of things. I know, and I could say this now because anyone can try and do whatever they want. Get that boy's phone and look at the text messages between him and his mother and see how many times his mother's getting money off of him and stuff. You feel me? So it's like, it's stuff like that where there's a lot more deeper things behind the scenes.
Deeper things behind the scenes. Yeah.
Good things like that.
We know that now. We know that now. I am going to start reading some other police reports that I have held back from reading, but you know, Freedom of Information Act. Bless your heart. But I'm going to go back and replay that one more time.
Yeah, I agree. So now let me ask you this. Why do you think that the Russos, because I feel like not so much the Flanagans, or maybe I'm just not seeing it, but I don't feel like they're pushing this narrative as hard. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I think it's
why does Russo want her to be guilty of murder so bad, do you think?
There's a lot of different areas I could touch on this, and like one is like I know this. I know Davion's parents aren't as comfortable, I think, of speaking up in the public light as some of Dom's family, you know, and I think that that's a reason. I do think after seeing a lot of the case files, you know, and seeing like some of the emails that Davion's mom sent to the police, like thinking that like there's one about Rosie posting some post about home not being home no more. And they thought that that was her talking about me talking to the police, but that wasn't it. Like the whole thing that these families and the prosecution forgot about, at least when it comes to me and Rosie and like some of us friends that were there that night, is that like, man, we had a whole life that we had to like keep going with. Like we were going to college in 2 weeks after they died. It's not like we just put everything on pause and sit here and grieve for months and months. Like, no, like, we had 2 weeks to kind of wrap our head around things, and we were off in college, and when we were off in college, I don't know if anyone's college students in here, but you know how it is being a freshman in college. It's like, it's hectic. Everything's different, and the last thing we were kind of thinking about was the stuff that happened back at home. We were kind of just going to let that play out and let it go like how it was supposed to go. And then once we realized it wasn't going like a factual and right way, we're like, wait, hold on, what the hell, And so, I mean, I would say when it pertains to them wanting to push this narrative, I would say that allegedly, surrounded in allegedliness,
Entertainment
Dom-
purposes only.
yeah, Dom provided a lot for that family. He did a lot of things. I know, and I could say this
We know.
now because anyone can try and do whatever they want. Get that boy's phone and look at the text messages between him and his mother and see how many times his mother's getting money off of him and stuff. You feel me? So it's like, it's stuff like that where there's a lot more deeper things behind the scenes that nobody's ever going to know about. And I feel like that's why they're pushing this so heavy, is because there's things that are missing that aren't there anymore. And there's no other way to fill that other than doing this, And I also feel that, and I don't want to speak too much like personally on this, because like I said, I've never met any of these people personally. I don't know how people deal with grief. I don't know how they deal with that. I don't know what their approach is to that. I don't know if.
Wow, to hate Landon so much and not have met them is absolutely wild. Wild.
Allegedliness,
Entertainment
Dom-
purposes only.
Yeah, Dom provided a lot for that family. He did a lot of things. I know, and I could say this now because anyone can try and do whatever they want. Get that boy's phone and look at the text messages between him and his mother and see how many times his mother's getting money off of him and stuff. You feel me?
Interesting. You mean the phone that we didn't get in the investigation? Tengo muchas preguntas. Yeah. Does he know the ins and outs of his business? To an extent, yeah, I think, Shamina.
So it's like, it's stuff like that where there's a lot more deeper things behind the scenes that nobody's ever going to know about. And I feel like that's why they're pushing this so heavy, is because there's things that are missing that aren't there anymore. And there's no other way to fill that other than doing this, And I also feel that, and I don't want to speak too much like personally on this, because like I said, I've never met any of these people personally. I don't know how people deal with grief. I don't know how they deal with that. I don't know what their approach is to that. I don't know if, some people can handle that better and more peacefully than others. Some people can handle it more hostility towards others, But I mean, I don't really even focus like I'm at the point now in this case where I don't even know if the families like believe what the prosecution's putting or if they are just blatantly like lying to continue with this. Like, I don't know. I'm at like kind of like a fence with that where it's like I can't tell if they're just blatantly lying or if they're just believing like what the prosecution says.
There are some receipts too. I found something about Judge Russo. Yes, we did. I've been holding back from you, babes. I've been holding back because people are being haters. Yeah, people are triggered about the Kenzie pick. We're gonna talk about that in a bit when this is over. Because I have things to say, ma'am.
But like all of my questions and all of my things go towards the prosecution, I'd say, is like, why did they stretch this hard to do this? And like there's like they like for instance, like their main piece of evidence of the incident on the highway, they go into court and they say, oh, she did this, and that. We got witnesses. But then there's text messages. There's literal text messages from Dominic Russo himself where he admits he wants to off himself and that he's
and
sorry.
Then you have the word of Hench, who is friends with the family, though, is the one who supposedly heard all this. Meanwhile, what we have in writing that we can read right in front of our face is something completely different.
Mm-hmm.
Tells a completely different
my whole
story.
thing with that Hench guy, I always thought he was a weird guy because there was one time actually where I was at Dom's grave chilling, and some kid that is involved with this case. His name is mentioned in the files. I ain't gonna put the light on him though, but he ended up trying to come up.
We already know how I feel about Hench. Okay. We already know how I feel about Hench. I know we can argue about this till we're blue in the face. We can. I am accepting of that. But like, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. It's weird. You've bailed him out. He's living in your house. He said, she said, if we're going to be fair. Like, there's no video, no audio, nothing to prove other than he said that he heard Mackenzie say she's going to crash this car. Okay. Let's just be, that doesn't mean it makes her innocent of everything completely. I'm not saying that. Don't get it twisted, because I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for what I'm saying up here. I always do as of lately when I cover the Kenzie case. But I welcome it. We can have a discussion. We can share information and documents and opinions, emotions and feelings. No beds. We're not sharing our beds.
To me and like confronting me in a way, and I had to hop on his ass a little bit. And then once I did, I look at the corner of my eye and I see Dom's mom, and I see this hench guy. I think to believe what's his kid, and then like a cousin coming up, and they all are like standing behind me. And like, I don't know, I kind of felt intimidated in a way, because I kind of felt like surrounded in a way. But like, I'm a big guy, so I don't really get intimidated like that. So I was just kind of like calling them all out on the bullshit that they're talking about. But I would say this, like, from the one time that I did stand next to Hench, he is a very eerie type of guy, like not an intimidating guy, but he's a very eerie, like he has skeletons in his closet in a type of way, you know? And I will say this, that I do find it odd that, like, I don't know what relations he has to that family. I don't know if they're friends. I don't know if they're, you know, his daughter or his family members married to some, I don't know. I don't know any of that information, but I do find it weird that he's just randomly living with them. And from all we know, he is just someone that Dom's mom has defended in court. And on top of that,
I wouldn't have believed that until I saw the documents, but I showed you guys this on a previous live. I showed you in one of the Kenzie lives, I showed you the docket. It was, I think, a $900 bond. Actually, I'm going back to my files. That she got refunded for Hench's bail. By she, I mean Miss Russo.
he went in to testify as a witness, I do feel as if that was a little bit shady, because it's like, all right, you're living with the victim's mother. So like, I don't know if that causes, you know, certain things or certain, what is it? Statutes to be violated or whatnot. I don't know. I'm
Conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest. Yeah. All that type
Yeah.
of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. They took his word and what he said, even though he's friends with the mother and friends with the family. They took his word over what we saw physically, the conversation to be. And that was such a big part of their evidence. How was him hearing a conversation over the phone, supposedly, more than what we're seeing written?
Another thing too that I saw one of the family members say is that she ended up texting Dom's mom when she got back home to save.
Tell me I lie. Tell me I lie. Hold up. Oh, sorry. This is a different situation. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Hold on, let me crop this because I'll show you the docket. I just pulled it up. Oh, okay. There we go. That way you guys don't think I'm being deceiving. I am not deceiving you, my babes. Here we go. Christopher Hench. This is very public information. 900 bond refunded to Christine Russo. Okay. So Bubba ain't lying. Melly ain't lying. Are we good? Okay. This is all very public information thanks to the Freedom of Information Act. You can find that information on your own if you choose to.
face, right? But here's my whole question about that. In those text messages, she literally tells her to come pick Dom up off the highway. So what? This is like an hour later. He's not on the highway anymore. You know what I mean? He's wherever the fuck he's at. I don't know how you're saying that she's trying to save face. And then on top of that, his mom is like engaging in the conversation like it's in real time. It's not like they already went and picked him up and then she's doing all this to save face. And she's not like, well, why are you texting me this now? This happened in 30 minutes. Like it's very weird. It's like, it's almost like they're trying to beat around the bush. And then it's like, I've also heard too that like, the big sister on Hinge was supposed to react towards the documentary. She was supposed to react to Steve Shrilla's video on James Renner. She was supposed to react to all these things, and she never did. She never did. She never watched any of those. She never reacted to none of those. And now all of a sudden she's moving on from this case and is talking about other cases.
Well, let me ask you about that. Like, what does she even know? Was she even involved in this entire process or case? What knowledge does she have other than Dom's her brother?
So here's what I know. I know that from what
I have not seen this. So respectfully, I didn't know some of the topics that would come up.
And some of this is allegedly and some of it's not, but I'll just say it's all allegedly at the end of the day. And so what I've heard is Dom's sister and Dom's dad was not really too involved in his life at the time of his passing, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe like before his passing. And at the time they were kind of rekindling and reconnecting in a way. But I know this. I know when the documentary company came to talk to us, so there's like legal obligations where they can't talk about other parties or who's talking or whatnot. But what they did tell us is that there was, at the time when we first, because I would say we met with them, before we filmed, we met with them 4 different times, 4 different occasions. Twice was here at our home, and twice is out for dinner. Yeah, out for dinner at this restaurant downtown. And so in one of those times, we were told that nobody's representing Dom as of now, that nobody is stepping up to the plate to want to represent Dom. And then we later find out one.
Thank you, Sarah Babe, for gifting a membership. That's really nice of you. And we are having a members only this week too. So that's really nice of you. I'll gift some too during this live so people can make it to the members only. Thank you. And welcome, Shamina, who got the membership, who is I think newer in the chat, but thank you for being here, Shamina. Hope I'm saying that right.
Once they walked us through the film, who was actually talking about Dave and who was talking about Dom. And that's when we found out who was talking about Dom. And I don't know, I found it very weird because I know for a fact his brother Angelo, his mother Christine, his other brother, I think his name might be Christopher too. I just know he goes by Toph. His name's Toph. We call him Toph. But I know all of them knew Dom and Mackenzie 10 times more than his dad and his sister. Like, I'm like, not even to over exaggerate it, like these people were involved in these kids' life every day. These other people that went on and represented them.
That is interesting. This is a good interview. Shout out to Ivory.
His name's
Shout out to
Toph. We call him
Bubba.
Toph. But I know all of them knew Dom and Mackenzie 10 times more than his dad and his sister. Like, I'm like, not even to over exaggerate it, like these people were involved in these kids' life every day. These other people that went on and represented them they were not, so that's also always been my thing, is that like I'm very interested to hear from them. I'm very interested to hear from them, because I don't know if, like, I know some people say, oh, well, some certain family members aren't ready to talk, but I know Angelo's out there at the bar partying and out there at the clubs. There's people that I work with that's met him at the bars, have told me that they've met him there. I've seen it on his social medias, on people that were Dom's friends' socials. Like, so I don't know if he's still grieving or not, but I would really like to hear from him, because I know, like, he's talked to Natalie himself. Like, he's texted Natalie. He had a relationship with Natalie. He had a relationship with all of them. So, like, I really want to know what he wants to say. What he has.
At the end of the day, Kenzie had a relationship with Miss Russo and Natalie had a relationship with Dom. They were together 4 years, not 4 days. That's a very long time. And there's so much more that we don't know. that went on in those relationships, familial and between Dom and Kenzie, and even with Bubba and them as well. There's a lot here we don't know and we did not live through. I know we've been thinking a specific way the whole time because we see how nasty the messages have been and how nasty the relationship is, but like there's a bigger picture. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. That's all I'm trying to do. I didn't get paid off by anyone. Absolutely not.
Say about this whole shit.
Bubba, I have one more question.
Yeah.
Also, can you clarify, and I think you answered this on Nicole True Crimes, but I'm just going to ask again for people that didn't hear. Were you or Rosie paid for your part in the Netflix documentary?
Nope. So, little fun fact about.
And do you see Bubba and Rosie out here grifting? Like, do you? Be for real. Have a little moment. A little confessional. When have you seen Bubba and Rosie out here grifting? We thought they were because they came out in the documentary, but so did many other people. When have they come onto their platforms and asked for money and or even talked about the case? Go on lives. I mean, Rosie has a big platform and she has yet to come on her own platform to talk about it. And I'm not throwing any shade. I'm just saying neither have the Shirillas.
That is so the Mean Girl Murders. I don't know about the other one.
And Mackenzie definitely hasn't either. And I know that for a fact. And how I know that, maybe I don't want to share that right now, but I know that for a fact.
Whatever other one that's out there is on Hulu. No, HBO is on HBO. But I know Mean Girl Murders for sure. They hit me and Rosie up wanting to go on there. And when they first came to us, they were really heavily focused on the social media aspect, and that they also told us that we would be heavily compensated for doing that documentary. And so that was really, I mean, the two reasons that they listed out was the two reasons why we opted out not to do it. Was number one is because we stand strong on this, like Rosie's socials, even my socials, even though they're not that prominent, like they have never been involved in this case. And when it did happen, yeah, like when this did happen, like I know for a fact, like so Rosie started her YouTube in 2020. She took a break from 2021 all the way up to like 2023. Like after we had gotten back from college, because me and her only went to college for one semester after they died. So it was like 2 weeks.
See what I'm saying? I'm just saying that Rosie and Bubba don't deserve all the hate that they've gotten. No one does. But oh, here we go. You digging into the victims. Here we go. So why can we dig into the Shirillas? I don't get it. Of course I'm doing it for content. Yeah, you have some big opinions, girl. Big, huge opinions. That's funny.
We went to college. We went to college for a semester, and then we came home. Once we came home and we got our own place and we were living together and all that stuff, like she started back up her
huge hater
YouTube, and she grew her YouTube from 200,000 subscribers to 1.2 million subscribers. So like never once in this whole case has any of this been involved in that, you know, and we could have easily used it, but we didn't. And so the whole aspect of the Mean Girl Murders, like the social media and the
don't come to me. Don't come to me about digging into people's stuff. Talk to whoever created the FOIA. Who was that? Didn't we cover this last time? Oh yeah. It was President Lyndon B. Johnson on July 4th, 1966. Yes. Please call former President Lyndon B. Johnson. Let me know what he says about that. About you canceling Freedom of Information Act, respectfully.
Fact that people were getting paid to go on there and talk, we didn't want to do it. We don't want any form of compensation. We don't want any form of benefit off of our two friends dying. It's not logical.
Fair game. Then Stephen, Natalie Shirilla's past doesn't have anything to do with anything either. Okay, let's do that then. Let's do that.
Well, it's very frowned upon. I know me and Rosie morally wouldn't be okay with that, you know, if we built our whole life off of that. So it was morally, we wouldn't want to do that. And so when Netflix reached out to us, they came out to us at a whole different approach. And they were like, we really kind of want to connect the way that your friend group and the activities and the things that you guys participated in.
Thank you, Stas Baby, for gifting 5 memberships. That's very kind of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My screen takes a little bit to refresh because I'm on StreamYard. But let me see who got the memberships. That's really kind of you to do that. I appreciate you. Thank you. She can't sit with us. Nope. You know who can sit with us? Rosie. I know that's gonna piss a ton of people off. Not me doing it intentionally. What do people call that? Is that being a little bit narcissistic? Is that the word? I wouldn't say I would be narcissistic, but Bri Blicky, Joan of Arc, Blueberry, and Morgans, and Court Lurker received a membership. Thank you. Thank you. It's very nice. Welcome.
We want to kind of bridge the connection towards like the older generations in the world who can't understand or can't wrap their mind around why young girls act like this, or why young friend groups will do the things that they do. You know, they just can't wrap their head around it. And that's how they approached us. And never once was there ever mention of any compensation. I mean, I could post our contracts. There's never once any mention of any compensation. And so that's kind of really why we went with it, is because we felt as if they were going to do a lot more of a open approach towards it. And we knew nobody was really going to benefit too crazily off this, you know. And at the time too, when we were filming this, and it was all in pre-production, and they were sending us images and they were sending us things that we had to.
Oh my God, people are getting mad. I know. And it's funny that Nicole's in here joking around. Okay, everyone, let's take a deep breath. We're going to Wim Hof. Oh, I can tell people are getting really upset. Not the people in here, but I can tell in the comments. I'm getting comments from other videos saying that I've switched up. Isn't that crazy? Just come in here and see something wild.
Sign off on to be allowed to be put in the documentary, because it was taken by us. Like the biggest things that we were like saying no to were her social medias, where like we do not sign.
True Crime Nicole says, I'm sending Kenzie chicken Caesar wraps daily.
Off on this. Do not put her social medias in here. When it comes to Rosie and Kenzie, they were modeling. It had nothing to do with YouTube, nothing to do with TikTok, nothing to do with Instagram. It was straight modeling. And I'm talking like modeling by the books, going with agencies of Doherty, going with IMG, like all these different like actual modeling agencies, not no social media aspect. So when it comes to this social media aspect, it's like it's completely made up and false, because that's not what was going through their heads at that point in time. And so like we really pushed for them not to put that in the documentary. And I know Rosie at some point ended up posting the text messages where they simply agreed. They agreed, okay, we'll cut it out or we'll make a mock-up of it and send it to you guys. Well, they never made up a mock-up. We just assumed that they cut it out and we're okay with it. And then it comes out and it's front page and center square. And then on top of that, they put it in it so where she has 200,000 subscribers. So when you, the viewer, go look at her account, she has 1.2 now. Yeah, so it's like
oh,
what?
Like she was looking for clout. They did it on purpose.
No, like I'll tell you now, like
wait, I need to rehear this. Y'all are too funny in the chat, man. I have fun with you guys.
Young friend groups will do the things that they do, you know, they just can't wrap their head around it. And that's how they approached us. And never once was there ever mention of any compensation. I mean, I could post our contracts. There's never once any mention of any compensation. And so that's kind of really why we went with it.
Bubba's being very honest here. He said he would post his contract.
Is because we felt as if they were going to do a lot more of a open approach towards it. And we knew nobody was really going to benefit too crazily off this, you know. And at the time too, when we were filming this, and it was all in pre-production, and they were sending us images and they were sending us things that we had to sign off on to be allowed to be put in the documentary, because it was taken by us. like the biggest things that we were like saying no to were her social medias. We're like, we do not sign off on this. Do not put her social medias in here. Like when it comes to Rosie and Kenzie, they were modeling. It had nothing to do with YouTube, nothing to do with TikTok, nothing to do with Instagram. It was straight modeling. And I'm talking like modeling by the books, going with agencies of Doherty, going with IMG, like all these different like actual modeling agencies, not no social media aspect. So when it comes to the social media aspect, it's like, it's completely made up and false because that's not what was going through their heads at that point in time. And so like we really pushed for them not to put that in the documentary. And I know Rosie at some point ended up posting the text messages where they simply agreed. They agreed, okay, we'll cut it out or we'll make a mock-up of it and send it to you guys. Well, they never made up a mock-up. We just assumed that they cut it out and we're okay with it. And then it comes out. And it's for front page and center square. And then on top of that, they put it in so where she has 200,000 subscribers. So when you, the viewer, go look at her account, she has 1.2 now. Yeah, so it's like
So it
what?
looks like she was looking for clout. They did it on purpose.
No, like I'll tell you now, like if anyone wants to look at who's looking for clout, like this Netflix documentary came out. Look how many like rats in Strongsville, how many people that were like friends with Mackenzie in middle school or early on in high school, or even some of the family members, like some of the family members, they make a video about this. Like I know Davion's sister made a video about the documentary, and her next video was a cooking video. So it's like, like what are we doing here? Like we're obviously using this.
I'm gonna hide under my shell because I think Bubba is speaking facts. Oh no. Let's see how many people will unsubscribe today. We're going to read hate comments in between. This channel doesn't seem to welcome open discussion or differences of opinion. What? I recently subscribed to the channel and participated in the Mackenzie Shirilla case. A moderator put me out in timeout because I was defending the fairness of her trial. I even stated I was open to hearing other opinions. Clearly, this channel isn't. My mods rarely put anyone on timeout. So I guess I can take the responsibility for that. Well, talk to the channel owner, will ya? Jeez.
Public attention to build ourselves a community to make money and profit off of. So like I just don't understand it. And like some people can look at it like, well, that's their families, they would want them to do that. That's fine. Like you can look at it that way, that's fine. But for me in my shoes and in Rosie's shoes, when you're coming at us calling us clout chasers, but yet we were
file a police report with the YouTube police. I want to talk to your manager. Yo, I think I'm pretty open. If am I not? Call me out right now in the chat right now. Real ones. Oh, geez. Only. Guess I model. I used to think I was a model. You trust me. You do not want to see my old pictures from back in the day. Good luck hunting for them. When you do, enjoy them, please. I ain't charging you. Love Bubba. These are the people. This case is just gonna get me into trouble. These are the people that were with Mackenzie and Dom every day. Exactly. Bubba doesn't care what people say or not. He tells the truth. Yeah, exactly.
Refuse to like even still like publicly post about this on our accounts because we don't want the attention. We don't want any of that. Like it blows my mind that people can't read and read through the lines. It blows my mind.
Another big question that I see going around a lot, and I personally have already gotten this answer from you.
This is Jen. I know Jen. She's speaking right now. Thank you, Julio. When people watch because they hate you, it's called the Turtle Boy effect. Oh yeah, shout out to Turtle Boy. Means you should just go harder. Having haters means you made it. She was probably on payroll. Oh my god. The Shirillas paid me $7.5 million. Can you believe it? That's how much they paid me. To think she just needed a new child. They didn't even want me to say that she was innocent. They were just like, new child, please. 7 million. Could you imagine? Can you believe it? It's crazy. They're funding all of my vacations for the whole rest of my life.
And I hate to keep asking the same questions, but for other people, they want to know about Mackenzie's POTS and if you guys knew that she had POTS, and because a lot of people are saying it was made up, it never happened, she had no problems with it, she was having no episodes, that it's all fake.
Right after this, I'm gonna go for a 1-year vacation on the Amazon, live in a little nice little house on the Amazon River. Not where the anacondas can get me, but enjoy the scenery. Yes, I will be on my way.
So
Yeah.
I'm just
Thanks to the
So-
gonna
Shirillas.
ask you.
I know from me, Rosie, and I know even the two people that were there that night, because I know one of them even mentions it in their interview with police. Yeah, we all were aware of the POTS.
I'm blocking you.
So we didn't know like the fullest extent of what the POTS could be, you know, like what the symptoms are, what happens. We just like we would hear stories about how she'd be in the kitchen, and next thing you know, her mom would hear the sound of a bowling ball hitting the floor, and that's her head hitting the floor because she passed out. You know, like I know that there were some incidents in school, but nothing to where it was like
And that's actually pretty sad that people think that, because like I wish they had more money to get her the best attorney ever, because then it would have been fair. Like clearly, I'm just being sarcastic as shit. So Melanie Lena is saying Kenzie deserves a new trial. She's digging into the case. Oh, so someone other than me and Chris Cuomo. Really interesting. Okay. I know of other creators that I don't want to mention that agree but haven't voiced their opinion on their lives. But I'm glad to see other creators. Lana, okay. I already blocked you. You better unblock me right now before I drive to your house in Canada. Unblock me. Take me with you, Melly. Yeah, okay, interesting. Other creators are jumping on board, eh? I accept your apology if you were mean to me about this. I accept your apology.
talked about every day in a way, you know, like we knew of it. It wasn't anything that, and it's
The
crazy.
ones shit talking me in other chats, if you're not gonna say anything about anyone else, then I know it's personal. That's bullshit. How you gonna go talk about me in another creator's chat? That's my friend. My friend. My friend. Because I know people be all up in AG's comments and chats. AG's mine. He's my friend. Okay.
Because when this accident
Mine.
first happened, like literally when it first happened,
Thank you, Barbie.
and we went back to the kid's house that we were at that night, that was the first thing that was running through our mind. It's like, did she have a POTS attack? Did something happen to where she like passed out behind the wheel? Like, what the hell happened? That was the very first thing we thought about when it came to like thinking about what could happen. It was that and reckless driving. It was simply that and reckless driving. And we thought of that way the whole way. And the next thing you know, out of thin air, this whole, they were supposed to break up. They were seeing other people. That's bullshit. Show me the evidence where they were seeing other people, you know? And like I said on the other live, and I'll say it again, the whole thing of Mackenzie being a prostitute, no, it was she was not out here selling her body because she wanted to. It was more of like I swear I've told Rosie to do this before. I swear to God I've told her to do this before. And it's just something like a man who's trying to like.
This is interesting. The foot sex and all of that. Okay. Let's hear what Bubba has to say.
Get as much money as he can. Well, like do. And it's like, oh, go out here and find these dumb 60-year-old men who are hornballs who will send you $50 just to see a picture of your feet or just to see a picture of your hair, you know, of you playing with your hair, like some stupid stuff like that. Like go and finesse him out of all of his money, please, you know. And that was like really what Dom was pushing kind of for Kenzie, and it wasn't like in a bad way or like
It's like go open a foot finder and see what dummy or
exactly.
you can find.
It's not like he was pimping her out or he was forcing her to do this or he's like, you ain't make no money, bitch. It's smack, you know, like no, like it's nothing of those sorts. It was simply of like, okay, can we finesse guys out of their money this way? Okay, cool, because you know, $50 in my pocket is $50 I'm about to go spend on dinner. It's $50 I'm putting towards a new pair of Balenciagas. You know, it's just how it is. It's how Dom thought. It's how I think. At least
at the end of the day, they met each other when they were very young, right? Dom and Kenzie, very young. What is that's classless and you know what? He continued to date her though.
It's how I thought at the time, I would say. But I mean, it's just how it is. There was no like conspiracy or like anything deeper than what.
Yeah, is that considered CSAM? Before Kenzie turned 18? Oof. We know how we feel about CSAM. You know who I think of when I think of CSAM? Disgusting, nasty predator, pig vomit, shit, gross, disgusting monster, not even an animal, because animals are sometimes sweet. Trash, Stephen Stearns. Did you know that was coming? Oh, that's another one. It's another one. Maddie Soto case. Yeah, Stearns. Pig vomit. Ugh.
But I just said there was nothing deeper than that, you know.
I think people tend to forget how young all of you guys actually are and were at the time.
It seems people
Even
forget that this was
younger.
4 years ago too. It seems like people
Right.
forgot this was like 4 years ago.
Stephen Stearns deserves a death penalty just like Taylor Parker.
Oh, and like, yeah, I don't know. Like it, like some people seem like, oh, he doesn't seem too sad about it now, and it's just,
Child rapists cannot be rehabilitated. YouTube's gonna knock me for that. Probably get demonetized.
like, I'm sorry. I don't know how it is to grieve in a family's perspective, but as a friend or a best friend, like there's a lot of things that I do on a daily basis that's in a tribute to them, you know, and stuff like that. And like it's subconscious at this point. It's not even something that like, oh, I have to go do this for them. No, it's something that's just subconscious, something that's part of my routine. So it's like, yeah, no, like I'm like I said at a
Let's
point
talk
now.
about grief. I'm going to interrupt really quick. You just brought up grief and how you're grieving. A lot of people are saying that they don't see remorse or grief in Mackenzie. Did you see her following the accident, and what do you think about that?
Damn right, man. Let me tell you, like, so there was one story where, so we had gone and seen Mackenzie in the hospital. It's been a long time, so I can't give you like an exact time frame, but I would safely assume it was like a week or two after she got admitted to the hospital, and we went and saw her, and at like Natalie and Steve stay, they were trying to keep the fact that Dom had passed. They were trying to kind of keep that from her, and eventually it got to her, and then they let her deal with that. And so then they're like, don't talk about the funeral. Do not say when the funeral is. Don't talk about it. She's going to freak out if she can't go to it. And right now, in the state of condition that she's in, she physically cannot go. So my dumbass, when we saw her, accidentally like had mentioned, like not saying, like I'd mentioned that Dom was having a funeral. And it was like very subliminally. It wasn't like on purpose. I didn't mean to. And she found out, and she didn't like cause a scene right then and there. Me and Rosie ended up leaving, and once we left, I guess she started freaking the fuck out, finding out that Dom was having his funeral, that she couldn't go. And so then
we heard about that mental breakdown in the hospital, right? People did want to say that she wasn't grieving. She's not grieving in her phone calls. Phone calls are one thing. Her being in the hospital is another thing, right? It was against the law for them to even date, says Allison. Oh, where is it now? Agreed, Melly. They can't be rehabilitated. Nope. Not Stephen Stearns. Disgusting.
I would say about like 6 o'clock that night, Steve calls us and he goes, like, Mackenzie's literally getting out of bed right now. She, like, with all of the injuries she just sustained, she is physically getting out of bed and is wanting to rip out her IVs and go to this funeral, no matter what the cost is. And so
we heard the police call to that incident too, where she was trying to leave and was fighting with Steve about it. And we would shit on them and say that, you know, that was just drama, but that probably was actually true. And we saw it in the Detective Jesus, or was it Detective the DA agent? It was Jesus. Jesus' report, I think, said it as well, that she was upset and wanted to go see Dom at his gravesite. Melly needs a michelada. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. I'm gonna make one after this one. I'm having a lemonade right now.
So me and Rosie ended up having to go back to the hospital to calm her down before police had to intervene. And I think there's a police thing about that where they had to be called. Yeah, that was that whole incident. So me and Rosie ended up going back and calming her down and like making sure she stays in bed and she stays rested and stuff. So like that right there kind of like that was one of those moments in this time where it was like I was seeing the pain firsthand. I was seeing it with my own eyes and I was feeling it. And then like I knew that she had created a shrine of Dominic in her room. She had the last jar of weed that Dominic ever had. She had she never touched it, kept it in the jar unopened. Like everything that was of Dom's was completely untouched, unscathed, like clothes, everything. She would only wear them at certain times to make sure the smell stayed on them. Like everything was about Dom at that point. I also remember too, like when she went out to OU for the Halloween, as we dressed up as 3 dead corpses, all that stuff. We ended up actually like begging her. Like we begged her to come out. She was refusing to come out and we begged her to come out. And I think her dad kind of helped just a tiny bit because I know he's alumni to OU. So he kind of like was sharing stories about how fun it is and how you can go down there and have some fun.
I had not heard that before, that Bubba begged her to come out that night. Interesting.
So I think he helped us out a little bit in that sense. So we ended up getting her out there and like I said before in the other live too, like that whole idea of us going down to OU for Halloween specifically, we planned that night with Dave and Dom. Like that whole night was about us going to college. The night they died, it was about how we're about to go to college. I had to go to college earlier than the girls because I was playing football. So the whole night was about how like literally we have a week for out of all of us, we have a week before we went to college because I went earlier, And so that night, we're like, Dom was like, dude, OU, I've heard OU's Halloween. I don't know if anyone's from Ohio here, but OU, Ohio University, their Halloween weekend is like one of the crazy. It's like in history, the craziest Halloween weekend at any college. And so we were planning that with them that night. I do remember we were watching videos of Kid Cudi on the TV of him performing live. And that's why she went to the Kid Cudi concert, was because we were talking about that. And then we were like, oh, well, he's coming to Cleveland in however many months. Let's go see him, And so all those were plans that we made with them boys and stuff like that. And we begged her to get out the house and come do them. And I mean, the reason why she was staying in the house all the time is because she was grieving, because she didn't want to go outside. She was sad. She was like,
we act like it's weird that she wanted to go out and drink and do stuff. Like, until you know how to handle your emotions and grief and stuff, like most people would do that. When I was drinking the most in my life and got in trouble for it and was involved with the law and all of that, I was like out of control drinking, and it was for a lot of like my own issues. So it is definitely like a whole process. Yes, Calissa, I can see her wanting to party and not think about everything. For keeping it real, me too.
People forget, like, no matter what the text messages say or how
Emma, how is Bubba a liar? Give me one document or one piece of information where Bubba lied. Please. I'll keep out for it.
The relationship was, these were two people that spent 4 years together every day, sleeping together, spending the night over. Like they seem to forget like that's not a thing, but that's how it was. Like, so yes, like it was a big shock.
It's like we're trying not to judge the Wells family, Nolan Wells, for how they're grieving. They barely came on an interview and cried. It's like, damned if we do, damned if we don't. Everyone obviously grieves differently, right? I said it today in that live today about Nolan. I said it. People on X are saying that his family is acting weird. They're not crying. They're not upset. And a lot of you are like, people deal with things differently. Okay. So why does that only pertain to one human being? No, it's a whole, other than that, then it's just your opinion. Like, just like we don't know how the Nolan Wells family is grieving. We don't know how Kenzie did too. They're probably bawling their eyes off camera. Yeah, and how do we not know that Kenzie is feeling some type of way now? The last of the phone calls we heard were 4 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's just be real. Let's just be fair. Nolan's mom has been crying. I think I seen her cry in one interview, and I'm proud of that because she is keeping her stance on she wants justice, but it's like everyone grieves differently.
Shocker to her
Clearly.
when he died. And then I will say this too, like, she went to prison. I'm telling you right now, it's going to hit her just as hard whenever she comes home, whenever that is. If it's in 10 years, if it's in 5 years, if it's in 15 years, however many years it is, whenever she comes home, it's going to hit her just as hard because she had a very short amount of period to live her life kind of without him in a way.
Yeah.
And not being physically blocked by the medical repercussions and all that. Like, I'm talking about going back to normal life, being able to do your normal daily schedule without him though. You know, she hasn't experienced that yet.
Haven't been given the
actually,
opportunity to properly grieve.
No. And I remember too, like even at OU when we were down there, like me being the only guy that was there with it was them 3 girls and me as the only guy. I would say about an hour into the night, I ended up having to like carry her half over my shoulder in a way, like having her arm over me because her injuries and stuff. Because I think OU was the first like legitimate time she actually like wasn't using a wheelchair and she got up and she was walking around. So it was very hard on her. And I ended up having to help her around all night. And we ended up going back early that night because of her injuries. And then the same thing with the concert. There's a picture out there floating around of her at the concert where she's just sitting on her phone in the wheelchair. Well, coming from the girl that was standing behind her in that picture, she states that Kenzie was just sitting there looking at pictures, all going through her camera roll, looking through pictures, looking through old text messages of her and Dom, and just crying her eyes out. And then ended up.
Someone said Bubba has something against Dominic. If Bubba had something against Dominic, he would have snitched a long time ago about all the rugs being dealt with on Dominic's end. Let's think about that for a second. If he really didn't like him, there's many opportunities for him to do something against him or Kenzie, and he never did.
Actually going back to the car before the main performer, Kid Cudi, even came on. She ended up going back to the car because she was sad, and she was not only sad, but she was also in pain from the injuries of just sitting there in a wheelchair uncomfortably for that long amount of time. She ended up going back to the car and just sitting in the car until the rest of the girls got done with the concert that night. So it's like they just painted like a complete half picture of all of these instances and didn't explain the full thing. It's just shitty.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I'm going to ask you this now because I've been picking it up in the chat. In the interview with, I believe it was Paul, were there guns at the house that night?
No. So it's funny. So actually that right there is the reason why we didn't talk to police. So what was it? Paul.
Interesting.
So when I went back to Paul's house after they had died that morning, and it was all of us that was there that night, and we're trying to wrap our heads around what the hell happened, what was going on, remembering everything. And
I was always super curious about, was it bullets that were found in under Dom's seat? Yes, Divine Femme. Did Big Sis on Hinge say she complained about Doc? Yeah. There were edits. Kind of seems like the Rissos were the bad influence of Kenzie, honestly. Ooh, I respect your opinion.
The night, Paul ends up I can't remember who brought it up to Paul, but someone brought it up to Paul. They're like, well, were they drinking? Were they smoking or anything? And Paul's like, well, at my house, no, but I don't know if I knew that they were at a grad party before our house. So I don't know if they were drinking. I don't know if they were doing anything there. And if they were, and it came back in their toxicology reports or whatever, that him and his family could be liable because they left from his house last, that they saw the state of manner that they're, because I know that's a law in Ohio or whatever, that where if you consciously let somebody drive away drunk or high or something and they get into an accident, you and whoever owns that house can be at fault for that. So Paul being, I'll tell you now, out of all of us, Paul was like the least involved with any like smoking, with any type of that type of life, you know? So he was like tweaking. He was like, oh my God, my parents are going to kill me. So his parents were gone that night. So his parents ended up coming back early and they ended up going to talk to the police. Well, he had his interview scheduled. I don't know the exact dates, but he had his scheduled. Rosie was supposed to do hers the next day. The other girl there that night was supposed to do hers the day after that. And I can't remember if I scheduled mine afterwards or not. I can't remember if I scheduled mine afterwards or if I even scheduled one at all. I can't remember because I don't ever remember like talking to them, but about like scheduling it that early on in the investigation, you know. And so Paul goes in there, does his investigation, and we get it. He gets out, and we're all like, "So what's the word? Like, what are they saying? What's going on? What things are they asking you? You know?" And he goes, "It's bad." He goes, they're asking about where Dom gets his drugs from. They told my parents that there's a gun buried in the yard and that if there's a gun to call them. And we're like, what the fuck? We're like, holy shit. And like, there's only ever been one time where I've ever been around Dom with guns. And it was the time where all them carnival pictures of us at the carnival, like the one that like of all of us sitting in that little bowl thing, that was at the carnival. That was on one of them little rides that you sit in and it spins a bunch. So it was in one of those rides that we took that picture. And so that night, that was a different carnival because that was the Middleburg carnival. This one was the Strongsville carnival. Once we came back from the Strongsville carnival, he had ended up keeping his guns in my room because he would drive around with his guns. He didn't want to go to the carnival that was right next to the police station with the guns on him. So he ended up keeping them in a DoorDash bag in my bedroom.
Oh.
And so that was the only time I ever like really been around Dom with guns.
Whoa. Well, we know about the guns and Dom and Kenzie, right? Because they fought about it in the text messages. So we know how Kenzie felt about it. Kenzie was not a fan of the pew-pews. She was not. Just finished the text messages. I hope you're taking care of yourself when you cover all these heavy cases. Thank you for being amazing. Oh, thanks, Court. That's very nice of you. Thank you for the super. Appreciate you.
But that night specifically, there was no guns involved. I didn't see, he didn't bring them in. He didn't bring in like from my knowledge, he usually kept them in a DoorDash bag, like in the trunk of the car. It was in like one of them DoorDash fucking cooler bags.
Can I be a hypocrite and a liar and say that I actually care about the guns and the weed and the shrooms? No, I grew up in that era. I have family members who were gang members, so I'm used to pew-pews. And I was always 420 friendly, so I really can't judge a lot of what's being said here.
But
I have no room to
so judge. That specific night there was never any guns involved. And so when we heard about that, like being young 18, 17-year-old kids and knowing that this kid is a big time drug dealer and not really caring, you know, because it didn't really like affect our lives. He didn't really talk about it much. Like it was more his other friends and his older friends that were involved in that type of stuff. He didn't really talk about that stuff with us. And so when we heard about this, we're like, man, like we don't have any information for them that's to that topic of his life. And so that was really why me, Rosie, and the other girl that night ended up canceling our interviews, because we're like, well, if that's what they're asking about, we don't know nothing about that. We also asked like legal counsel about it, and they're like, don't talk. It's obviously deeper than what you guys know. And they'll come to their terms of their investigation whenever they come to it. Like us talking about that information, not knowing anything about it won't help them or not, you know? And so that's why we at first hesitated to talk. And so where that whole gun thing comes from, now that we've looked over all the case files, is I guess they found a full box of ammo under the seat. And
Yes, this is true. What I mean by that is that doesn't mean that it's okay. Just because I experienced anything like that, it's absolutely not.
That's the quote unquote credible information to let them know that there was a gun involved. I don't really know how that lets them know that there was a gun involved. Like, okay, a box of ammunition was found. Okay.
So they just assumed off the ammunition in the car.
Yeah. Like I don't really don't know how that tells you that there was definitely a gun involved and that you should be asking about it, you know?
Yeah.
But so that's where that whole thing comes from. But then once they kind of built their investigation and we got the phone call and we heard that they were saying that Mackenzie did this on purpose, that's when I went out and had my interview with police. And then Rosie, we're working on it now, but she had a full hour, like hour and a half interview with the prosecutor, not the police, with the prosecutor himself on the phone.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, on the
she never
phone.
actually went there. Mhm.
Yes. And there's multiple layers of proof to prove that, but people are just gonna have to wait for that to come out. So, but yeah, so I don't really know. I don't know why. Like, I think, in my opinion, that was a shitty detective work, like just off the rip.
Yeah, I guess we could say, like, how can we say that Kenzie's not grieving or the reactions, we're not getting the typical normal reactions? Because it is true in that body cam footage with Miss Russo and Toph. Toph acts like nothing is even happening. He's over there making a Sammy or something. Thank you, Cowboy RC, for being a member for a month. I think you've been a member for much longer, but nonetheless, I appreciate you. Thank you, Juvenated Creations, for being here.
Like the first kid you talk to off the rip, you know? And like they're also asking him about, like, well, was Dom ever like, and that's another thing too. They're asking like if Dom was jealous of Kenzie and Paul's relationship. And I'm like, well,
Right?
why are
Paul's gay, right?
Yes. I'm like, why are we focusing on like how Dom's feeling though? Like, I'm confused. I mean, I guess it could play in a part of if they got into a fight. But yeah, then Paul was like, no, I'm gay. Like, I don't rock that way, you know? And that, I want to address that other thing too, because I saw one video of a phone call between Rosie and Mackenzie where they're talking about that Houston kid and they're making gay remarks and whatnot. And what that really comes from is,
and we can
like,
we can hate Bubba all day long for having Rosie's back, but at the end of the day, don't we want a man that has our back like that? If you don't already have him, respectfully. I mean,
a lot of people don't know the personal like encounters and the personal stories behind all this. And when it comes to that kid in this case, like both Dom and Davion hated that kid.
Or just the partner in general.
Like him multiple times. And actually in that phone call, when Rosie says the word gay and she says that, she's actually reiterating what Dom told to me and her in the car about him. It wasn't like she was just saying that up out of thin air and that's her opinion. No, that was what Dom told us. Dom told us dirt on Tyler Proctor, the kid that said that, oh, she did voodoo. He told us dirt on Houston. Like, so both them kids right there, Houston and Tyler Proctor, Dom and Davion, well, I won't say Davion for Tyler, but Dom himself did not like Tyler Proctor and did not like that Houston kid. He just simply didn't. They weren't friends. I know I talk a little bit about Houston in my police interview with Davion and how we got him fired from multiple jobs and stuff. Like I remember I talked to the police about that. So like,
I have questions for Houston too, because we do want to know, what are your intentions after you got Davion fired from so many jobs? Why are you so involved?
That's why it was kind of weird to me that Houston was the one going in and saying all this crazy stuff and saying that they were off of psychedelics or they were doing this or they were fighting. Like, dog, we don't like you, bro. Like, we don't like you.
Even there, how would they know?
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah. Like, it's like, we don't like you. We weren't talking to you to the night of. We probably weren't talking to you even the week of. So like, I don't understand how, like, the only credible, useful information them kids had were the Life 360. Was the Life 360 information. That was the only useful thing. Everything else they went in there and said was all misinformation or like mistranscribed information that they've heard through the grapevine.
They went in there with a full-blown story ready to go. And then to show.
Nah, it's bullshit. I think that
Houston's like against the Russos, against Kenzie, against the Shirillas, but against Bubba, but friends with Bubba, but hates Davion, gets Davion fired, but loves Davion. Oh, but so innocent at the gravesite. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but which is it?
Because at the end of the day, like that whole group, like Hoosney, like he's best friends with Tyler Proctor. Tyler Proctor's best friends with Blair. Blair's best friends with all, like they're all best friends. All those kids are all one big close ass friend group. And they all kind of went in there knowing what they wanted to say. And I feel like it all stemmed from one individual. I don't know who, but it all definitely stemmed. And like, another thing that I find weird too is that like when Tyler Proctor went in his interview, he was like, I'm related to Dom by God. Like, that's weird. Like, that's very, I don't know if anyone caught on that. That's very weird.
Yeah.
Like, why, like,
I hadn't caught on that until after the fact, but we should review that. I think we should review some interviews and take notes respectfully, because since I work for the Shirillas now. Okay, fine. I'll stop joking. I know it can make some people upset. I don't want to make anyone upset.
why? I don't know. Like, it's just very weird. And another thing too is like, they say, oh, that's Kenzie's ex-boyfriend. They dated for a week. They dated for a week and then they broke up. That was it. They weren't like a couple month thing. They were a very 1 week and then it didn't work out. Yeah. So
That's wild how they just walked in there with this story. And it was really soon. What was it, the next day?
yeah.
How
like
long after?
it was, I think it was, I remember because it was definitely before I went to college. I remember because it was when they first passed, where they crashed at, we had a vigil there. We had like a bunch of flowers and pictures and candles up right there at the side, at the grass at the end, like right where the road's at. And for like 2 weeks solid. I know. I would say 2 weeks solid for everyone in Strong. So for me personally, it was probably only a week until I went to college. It was all the way up until I went to college. We would sit there like all night, every night. There'd be a group of like 20, 30 kids all there talking, sharing stories and whatnot. And so, yeah, I mean, they were all trying to ask us like if they were fighting in this. And we're like, nah, like there was never any fights. And that's what blows my mind is that like, everyone that was there that night said they weren't fighting. That saw them 4 minutes before they died. All of them said it was perfectly fine vibes. The girl before
We've heard that many times, right?
grad party, I don't know what her name is, but that girl, she said no, there was no fights. There was no things that she could bring up to where it would show that they were fighting. There's videos of them at the zoo before that where you can hear in the background Kenzie and Dom, you can hear Dave, you can hear them all being happy and whatnot. So like everything of that day, that physical day.
I got tons of money in my bank, my Monopoly bank from Natalie Shirilla. I'm just kidding, but no, really, that's actually pathetic.
And the witnesses that saw them, and mind you, the key word here is witnesses. The witnesses that saw them that day all said they weren't fighting. But then if you go look at the PowerPoint that the prosecution used to build this narrative and to build this case, they give a proper thank you to Husni Ahmad, Tyler Croy, Tyler Proctor's mother, and then Davion.
I've said this before. What does Tyler Proctor's mother have anything to do with anything about Kenzie's character? They're not dating anymore. She didn't live with you. Miss Deanna, respectfully, no. Not a credible source.
Sister. I'm like, you just listed off 4 people that we've never hung out with that whole summer. Those 3 months, 4 months leading up to that, never seen them, has never hung out with them, never had nothing with them. They don't know shit about shit, but those are, I guess, are the main witnesses that are creating this narrative and that gave them the tips and the information of for them to build their case. And I just find that really weird.
They got the information, not the people who were with them that night.
Yeah, no, not the people that, not any of the information, not any of the people that saw them that day, that night. Nope, they didn't use any of that information. They thought we had something to hide. They thought we were lying. Like, I remember when she got sentenced, the prosecutor, like afterwards, the prosecutor had a video and he goes, that Landon Turner kid's suspicious. I think he's hiding something. Well, what the hell do you think?
We did too, Bubba. We thought you were a drug dealing, gang banging, fucking Chapo, mafia, fucking friend. I mean, yeah. Now we realize you're Rosie's boyfriend and you were just Kenzie's friend. So
I'm hiding, and it's crazy because I think
yeah.
that they made all of this knowing Dom's nature, knowing Dom's character, who he was, and that I was one of the only like straight males, I guess. I don't really know if that makes a difference or not, but I was really only the only male there that could have like known what's going on with Dom, or that could be involved with Dom, or could be involved that. So I think they were just trying to knock me in that sense because I was simply just there and I was around Dominic Russo, you know? And like I said, like none of us were like Dom had his own battles. He was a lot deeper in a hole. You know what I mean? He was doing a lot more things and
I want us to go through the text messages. We finished off in 2021 sometime. I haven't touched on the text messages because of the bullshit, but we should go through the text messages and like reevaluate all of that now that we know more truth, but only after we review other documents and police reports. Then let's go back to the Kenzie and Don text messages and look at those with the new information that we have. Courtney says, who's talking shit to Melly? I got your back. Thanks, Courtney, babe. Hey, ATS. Yeah, let's do like a little investigating, right? So we're going to do that. Yes, we are.
Experimenting with a lot more things than all of us were at that time, you know? And I feel like the police knew that too. I feel like the police knew that. And so they automatically took that image and placed it on us since we were there that night, you know?
You know, wasn't there were more people than that were interviewed at that party, right? Who's Nina?
So yeah, so Paul ended up getting interviewed.
Nina, we asked you to come up here on Mellyverse a long time ago, girl. Respectfully. We would not let anyone bully you, but we want to hear from you, Nina. Remember, Nina's the one that no one took a police report or interview from. And she was there that night. Because she was a minor? I thought you just need a parent. Whatever she did, I need to do that next time I get in trouble with the popo. Not a nerd. Really? Is that recent? Are you sure? Where did you see that? Mia looked at it. No way. No way. I haven't heard that. I have not heard that.
Did you know that?
Yeah.
Nina was there.
Was never questioned.
Yeah, so she ended up, she was on the same type of time we were on. We heard about these drugs and these guns. We all canceled our interviews. And after we all canceled our interviews, the police really only pushed for me and Rosie. They never really pushed or reached out too crazily to her to talk. And that's really why I guess she didn't end up talking, is because they never really pushed for those interviews, you know?
Yeah.
Like they were like, I know Rosie, they had the police call her. She denied talking with police because of the way the investigation was going. And then they tried, and I was in my job. I'm next to her this whole time. I'm doing the same thing. We're hand in hand going together, you know? And next thing you know, she has the DEA calling her phone, and I had the DEA hitting up my.
Why 1-800 Detective Glover? Excuse me, you work for the DEA. Why aren't you calling Rosie and Bubba? Who are you investigating? Who is the DEA investigating? Because I know it's not for 10 grams of weed or shrooms. Let's be real. It's not. They're not worried about someone that has 8 grams of weed and 6.91 grams of shrooms. Like,
college saying that I'm involved in a drug trafficking case and that I could be a suspect and not a victim. And so,
who's a suspect in the drug trafficking case? Yeah, ATS says, I ain't here for nothing. Where the cash at? Where the cash at?
So that even further proved us, okay, let's not talk. We're not talking.
He was like, fuck the
and
like
then
button.
Out the
Where cash at?
blue, literally out the blue, we hear that they're thinking of charging her with murder and thinking that she did this on purpose. And so that's when we kind of like, were like, okay. And that's when I called the detective and I was like, okay, come down to Marietta. I'll have an interview with you, however long you want. And then when I went down and had that interview, I would say that was in October. When did she get charged? November. Did she get charged in November?
Yeah.
So anytime between October and November is when, like, I would say 2 weeks or a week before she was prosecuted in court is when Rosie had her phone call with the prosecutor. Because if I remember correctly, when we were on the phone, he was like talking about the question he'd ask her in court. He was asking her about some of the drug stuff. He was asking her just little bits of information, not really a full in-depth explanation of the whole night, but he was asking her pretty decent questions.
It's crazy because, like, in California, I think last time I reviewed the laws to my state, I believe you could have 6 plants of marijuana, and who knows how much that could grow. Definitely more than 10 grams. So I don't know what it's like, or at the time the laws evolved, but we know there wasn't just marijuana, right? They were into Percocets, mushrooms. I think I remember Coke, but I'm not sure. Coca-Cola. Remind me if I'm wrong. Carts, which is weed, basically. What else? What am I missing?
And he ended up at the end of the phone.
Oh, the lean. The perp. Yep. The baby bottles. All that lean. Because I worked in Big Pharma, and let me tell you, those are hard to get. So I do have questions. Who supplied that lean? Who got that lean? And what supplier? AKA, what pharmaceutical organization that is licensed in the state sold you that many? Because I don't buy it. Respectfully.
Phone call being like, okay, I'll give you a call in a week. And that's when we'll have you come in and testify for court. So yeah, that's about approximately when Rosie ended up talking to the prosecutor, was I would say a week or two before court. Because her and the lawyer, him and the lawyer, the prosecutor and the lawyer, both were saying that they were going to subpoena Rosie to court, but they never subpoenaed her. And then when we were in the juvenile court in the binding over process, her lawyer literally looks at Rose and he goes, they're going to try and charge you for drug trafficking. I'm not having you testify in court. So literally what.
So that's why Rosie didn't. They were trying to charge her for drug trafficking for being involved with Kenzie, AKA working for Dom, doing Dom's work. Oof. And here we sit bullying Rosie. I'm so glad we are learning these things together. Right? That's fucked up. That's crazy. I rewinded. Please be kind. Rewind. Who remembers Blockbuster from back in the day?
Bits of information, not really a full in-depth explanation of the whole night, but he was asking her pretty decent questions. And he ended up at the end of the phone call being like, okay, I'll give you a call in a week. And that's when we'll have you come in and testify for court. So yeah, that's about approximately when Rosie ended up talking to the prosecutor, was I would say a week or two before court. Because her and the lawyer, him and the lawyer, the prosecutor and the lawyer, both were saying that they were going to subpoena Rosie to court, but they never subpoenaed her. And then when we were in the juvenile court in the binding over process, her lawyer literally looks at Rose and he goes, they're going to try and charge you for drug trafficking. I'm not having you testify in court. So literally what he told Rosie. And so she just never went to court.
McDonald? Old McDonald, who we know does shady business? We can't blame the Shirillas for not knowing that. How are you supposed to know that your daughter's attorney is somewhat knows who the Russos are? Now this smells fishy too. Just like the Nolan Wells case.
Testified, never talked. And that was based off of legal counsel and also based off of I mean, the fact that they just didn't call her in, they didn't subpoena her. You know, they really thought that she held the key, and Rosie Graham knew what was going through Mackenzie Shirilla's mind at that moment in time and at that night. I think they would have grand jury subpoenaed her, but they didn't because when she did have the phone call with the prosecutor, everything the prosecutor was saying, Rosie was denying and saying, no, that's not true. That's not how that was. It's not like that doesn't make sense. Every time he would refer it to as a homicide investigation, she'd refer it to as an accident, and it would just tick him off, you know, and stuff like that. So, I mean, it was obvious that the information we held was no use in their investigation and their narrative. And that's really the reason why the whole public thinks that we didn't talk and that we didn't cooperate. But in reality, we did, you know.
So do you think that it sounds to me like these people were going to get a conviction regardless of who?
Ronald, we need you to come up here and tell the truth before karma gets you, because I really, truly believe, even if it's later, years down the road, eventually it'll catch up to you. That dark energy is everywhere. Everywhere.
Who it was or what it was for.
Yeah, I do think that. I know Dom.
Then it became murder with the accident. I just feel like they were searching for something.
Yeah, I think that they were definitely trying to fulfill a certain level or a certain degree of charges, you know, of how, I don't know if murder stands the same as, you know, mass drug trafficking and mass gun trafficking. I don't know if that carries the same weight, but I will say, like, I'll put allegedly around this. Allegedly, I know he was I know Dom was under investigation for the girl falling down the stairs.
Right.
Dom was under investigation for the girl falling down the stairs and for dealing rugs. That doesn't mean that I think anything bad about him. No. Dom was a great person, I'm sure. This is obsidian, my necklace. So how can it be intent if you can't see to aim for the building? Who knew that the lawyer said that to Rosie? Sorry, when we all just been hating on Rosie? Yeah. Not cool.
He was under investigation for that. And there are text messages where a girl who witnessed her fall down the stairs said she blacked out and fell down the stairs. That nobody pushed her. There was no malice towards that. If there was, I would say there was 120 people there that night. Somebody would have seen somebody push somebody down the stairs, and they would have told the police. That simple. So no one and no certain individual pushed her down the stairs. But I know he was under investigation from that. And this is where I really, really emphasize the allegedliness. I do feel.
How about maybe Dom wasn't under investigation for the stairs, but maybe with the rugs related to the stair situation? That I could see make more sense. Rather than Dom pushed her. We used to think Kenzie pushed her, but after seeing the body cams that Plunger released, and I have too, I'm going to start dropping all of this stuff. If you thought I was done with Kenzie Shirilla, no way. No one can stop me. Oh no, not me getting all crazy up here. But anyways, maybe that was a situation in the stairs case and the investigation.
As if he was under investigation for drugs and guns at that time as well. Like we had heard things about that he had a warrant out or something that morning for his arrest because he failed to appear to court or something like that. Not exactly sure on that nature, but that was what was being said at the time of the accident.
So there was, I heard about the investigation. I never spoke on it because, you know, I didn't have much to go on, but yeah, I heard about this possible drug investigation going on, and it looked out.
I know cops are sitting outside of his house all the time. I know that a week prior to the incident, when Davion was already living with them, Davion and Dom actually got pulled over and the car got searched and they broke a couple plastic like trim that you could pop off because they thought they were hiding stuff in the trim.
This is really interesting because we reviewed this body cam together and we were like, what the we want that pull, right? Next time we get pulled over. I'm gonna drop those videos too for you guys to watch without commentary. I'm supposed to be publicly posting them public after this live. There's gonna be body cam footage going up. Taylor Parker also going up. There's a couple things I've been working on behind the scenes. But isn't that interesting to hear Bubba talk about this after we got the body cam from Plunder? Shout out to my girl Plunder too. If you don't love Plunder, you should love Plunder. She's great.
So they
will
like,
not allow any disrespect.
Really, they strip searched Dom's whole Cadillac. He owned a Cadillac at the time. They strip searched the whole thing, and that was like a week or two prior, I would say, to the accident happening. I wonder if there's any police report or police thing about that or not. I don't know if they report those type of things or document those type of things if they don't find anything, because they didn't find.
Someone in the comments is like, Plunder and Melly are bullies. The internet bullies. And I was just so grateful. I'm like, oh, I'm in the same category as Plunder. Respectfully, fuck yeah. No, we're not internet bullies just because we change our minds and have documents. And she's the queen of it. So don't even put me in the same category, respectfully, because I'm not. She's amazing. But even she thinks that people can be forgiven. Yeah. Her faith is so heavy on her that she thinks Mackenzie can repent and try to become a better human. And don't we just love her for that? Yes, we do, Plunder.
Anything, no arrests were
yes,
made.
We do.
Nothing of those sorts. It was just a simple search.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, the police knew. Everyone knew. Everyone in the town knew what was going on. You know, the fact that
could also be why Christine would push for the murder charge as well.
Yeah, I would assume too. Like, and this is just smart, like, I guess, words of wisdom to people, certain individuals, and like, it's plain as day that Dom did what he did. So instead of like saying people are liars, just simply say you don't want to talk about it. Like, that's so much better. Just simply say I'd rather not speak on it. Don't sit here and try to call people liars about it, because
I have
you're
never heard Bubba get on a live and call people artards. No, I haven't. Respectfully, no, I'm not going to get down with that. Fuck no, I'm not. I don't even allow that in here. It's flagged on my channel. That word is so foul to me. I say give her another trial. Verdict. Probably going to be, you know what? And if she gets a new trial and that's what she wants and she's willing to take that risk, we can't do anything about it, right? That's all up to Kenzie. I really love this interview with Bubba. He does a really good job.
They're discrediting certain people publicly, and now it's going to get to the point where they're going to have to come out with evidence to show what they're saying is correct. And at the end of the day, nobody wants that. We don't want that. I know the families don't want that. So like, it's just simple. Like, just stop calling certain people liars, you know, because it's not helping the case whatsoever.
It's not at all. And listen, regardless of what he did or he's dead, right? He deserves justice to some extent, right? As long as it's not justice. Nobody wants to see him dead. People should be able to grieve and mourn. Nobody's life is worth any more than anybody else's. But again, if you're going to tell a story and push a narrative on people.
No, even my best friend will text me and she knows to shorten that word because I won't. She already knows. That's how much I hate it. It's so derogatory and disgusting and rude and belittling. No. We are not that type of channel. You can call me many things, anything you want. Absolutely not. Nope.
And tell what you believe to be other people's truths, then everyone has to understand that everything about everybody's going to start to come out, right?
Yep.
And if you're lying and you're hiding stuff and you're not being honest, like people are quick to be honest and talk about Mackenzie, but not so honest to talk about everyone else. Again, everyone's life is equal. So we're not going to sit there and act like, he did this, so his life wasn't worth it, because absolutely not at all. But you do have to be honest on who these people are and to show that there's more of a story, and don't sit there and act like, he was this great, everyone was cookie cutter clean. And you know what I mean? The woman is this horrible girl who murdered them, but look at these perfect people. No, they weren't.
I have been drunk many times on this channel. I have never pretended to come up here and be something I wasn't. And you'll learn that from me. And I'll take all the hate, whatever. Or hate or heat. I have been so drunk up on here that I have taken off my clothes and been in trouble by YouTube. But you'll still never catch me saying that word. Not even if I was blacked out. Nope. No, ma'am. Mm-mm. And that should be an important factor when you decide which creators you follow and support. That should be important to you.
They all had past, they all had issues. It was real life. And so just like Mackenzie had real life issues, so did everybody. And again, to sit there and act like that doesn't exist while you're blaming this girl on intentional murder is wild. And like you said, things are going to start coming out then that you don't want to come out. So you might as well just acknowledge who he really was, right? Like acknowledge who he really was and not who you would have wanted him to be.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with everything you said. I agree. Like, no matter what somebody does. Now, obviously, I mean, I wouldn't say no matter what, because there are certain degrees to where if someone does something that could really make them look bad, and change some people's opinions. But like, to what he was doing, it should have no reflection on if he was rightfully, like, supposed to be alive or not. Like, it has nothing to do with it. It has nothing to do with it. All of them. All three kids that were involved in this situation, anything that happened to them, they do not deserve it whatsoever. No matter what they did in their life, no matter what they did behind the scenes that nobody talks about, that nobody knows, that I don't know. It does not matter. It does not matter. It does not justify anything. But what I say is that should be the main point of focus here, is that we have a narrative being pushed that she was some drug addict. Right. And then we also have this whole fact that she got charged with criminal tools and charged with drug possession in the car. And it's like, I'm sorry, like, there's explanations to that. Like, when there is heavy drugs in the car, it can range from mushrooms all the way up to pills, all the way up to whatever you want to call it, man. If they were driving around, Dom would have Mackenzie put it on her because she's a minor, and they won't strip search her. They won't search her person. They won't search her clothes.
Even that she's a female, and a female can say they don't want to be searched by a male.
Exactly.
They want
Exactly. It brings up so many different problems. So it's like, there's explanations to that. And the people involved, including me, including Rosie, including the others, all know that. They all know that, and they just don't want to publicly say it. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, I respect it to a certain extent. But once you start trying to create other problems, like calling people a liar and doing stuff like that, and it's not like this is on some small local scale stuff. No, this is on a global scale. You are globally attacking people, and that's not right. It's just not right. Like, if you want to put a certain image of somebody out there, then just simply deny talking about any type of thing that has to do with that. Don't sit here and try to add on to it and say that people are lying or that people are doing this, because then now they go and they run back to the people that said it, and they're like, well, you're a liar. You're a liar. How are we going to believe you? And that's another main reason why neither me nor Rosie have.
Pepper, I don't know if you've gone through all the messages, but those rugs were not Mackenzie's. You're being very one-sided, I will say. I love you, but respectfully, in those text messages, we see Kenzie always ask Dom, can I sell this? Can I sell that? I've already told you many times, Kenzie was not the main dealer here. Absolutely not. I don't even know if Kenzie, she might have been able to handle that. Yeah, maybe. But there's no way. There is no way you're trying to pin that on Mackenzie.
Publicly spoke out is because if we do, it's probably going to be filled with a bunch of counts. You're a liar. You're a liar. And then you'll have those 20 to 50 to 100 conscious people where they're like, okay, I see what you're saying. It's not worth adding fuel to the fire at this point.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So She-Shed, did you have some questions? I'm sorry, Landon. I feel like I've been talking your ear off, but I know I just wanted to make sure.
No, I'm just really glad to hear all of this. I'm kind of new to it, so this is like a lot of information, and yeah, it's.
I mean, shit. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Let me see if I can put my camera on.
One thing that I did want to know, because I keep hearing that somebody
And
else.
I'm not saying she wasn't complicit in that. Absolutely. Two things can be true at the same time, Just Pepper. Not pinning it on her, just saying what happened. Exactly. But there's also those text messages where she asked Dom permission to sell his drugs. And they are situated at his house, going into his accounts. So
Was at the scene, and I would like to know who was the first at the scene of the accident.
Hold on. Let me see this. Let me try to do this real quick. See that? That right there is no one else owns a jersey like this. Davion was buried in one of them, and the other one is framed at the high school. So the fact that people try to say,
and if Bubba is so bad, yeah, why would he have these things from the Flanagans? And shout out to the Flanagans. We don't see them out here acting any type of way.
say that I'm not friends with this boy is disgusting. We got this. I got this picture of him. We got these personal drawings made. We got so much stuff lying around the house, man, that it's just like, nah, it's bullshit.
Yeah. I see again. They just want to. That's hurtful.
Yeah, it is. I'm good at taking certain things a certain way, and obviously, like, the media and the mass attention doesn't really bother me. But coming from a more personal standpoint on everything, it hurts me to see certain individuals coming out here and trying to say that I'm not these boys' friends.
Yeah.
And that I'm only Mackenzie's friend, and that I'm Mackenzie's minion, or that I'm no, that's not the case. And it's crazy because I thought the documentary would have kept this in, but they didn't. And one of the
Okay, let's see. Melissa Hertz says, respectfully, I have strong opinions on Wayne in the beginning, and I've done a complete 360. Interesting. Okay, thank you for voicing your opinion.
first things that I said to them, and that I tell everybody, is that Mackenzie is not my friend. And this might sound like over the top and over like bad, but just hear me out. If she were to get 30 years or no parole, nothing, if she would have gotten nothing, or if she would have unfortunately lost her life in that accident, it would not make a difference to me. It would not make a difference to my feelings, to my emotions on this situation, because at the end of the day, I lost my two friends. I lost a brother, you know what I mean? I lost someone that was like very close in my life. But at the end of the day, I still stand 10 toes down. I still stand so strong on the fact that they didn't get into a fight that morning and she just purposely went in to murder them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a heartbeat. I won't believe it ever. There's no.
Now that you said that, you've also never seen her just spaz out for no reason, or you have?
No, never.
I know that's another one.
No.
She just snaps.
No, I've never seen her spaz out or just snap. I know, like, there was one time, I think it was when we were in OU after the accident. She had given me an attitude about how I had said something to Rosie. And me just being a man and it being my relationship, I felt some type of way. I was like, well, how the fuck are you about to tell me how to feel in my relationship? Like, that was the only ever time where I was like, man, watch how you talk to me, like in a way. But it wasn't like she was aggressive or she snapped. It was just because I said something about, like, I don't want to go too much in detail or context of what it was, but like, cause it's like some personal shit with my relationship, but like,
Right.
I had said something stupid, basically, in a way, and she tried jumping on my ass for it, and I was like, nah, like, you ain't gonna jump on my ass for that, you know what I mean? It's the only time that I've ever experienced any form.
Christine, you make a good comment. Nobody has the right to say who is someone's friends and who isn't, respectfully. Someone was like, I hate Lewin respectfully because of you, Melanie. All right, put me in Webster's dictionary, beach, right next to it.
Of something other than, I guess, like happiness in a way, happiness or just enjoying being there, you know? There's never, like, I've been to her house with Dom and Kenzie. I've been to Dom's house with Dom and Kenzie. Never once have I ever seen them snap on each other or them do something or act a certain way towards each other, you know? I've been in the car with them. I've been out in public with them. Never.
Now, she had asked, and I know you spoke about Rosie being at the car. Can you go through that one more time for her? Because I know the first person that reported the accident was the guy passing a passerby on a motorcycle, and he was reported that he saw a car into the building, right? That was the initial report of the accident. And then and again, this is big going around. I don't believe it, however, that Rosie was at the car. So can you talk about that just one more time? Because I know she was.
Yeah.
For that.
Well,
So-
and the reason I was asking, because I know if you have an iPhone, like my daughter was in a crash a couple of weeks ago and it immediately notified me. So like I was there before anybody else. I mean, like her entire family showed up.
Yeah. So, hey, I'll explain all the way from the beginning. So that leading up to that day, me and Rosie were in the Outer Banks. We were in the Outer Banks for a week with my family. I have pictures of us, but we were in the Outer Banks for that whole week prior. Literally, even that day, like that day of the accident, like that night, I guess, that full day we spent driving back from the Outer Banks. So we were at the Outer Banks on vacation, and once we started getting closer towards home, Rosie's like, oh, Paul's parents are home. Like, should we go over to Paul's house and have everybody over there and hang out and whatnot and potentially, you know, trip and do this? And I was like, yeah, okay, cool. That sounds fun. Whatever. So she ends up texting Kenzie and they end up making plans. So we get home and
I can appreciate Bubba's realness.
we dropped the luggage off at the house. Rosie ends up going home to her house to drop her luggage off. And now currently I'm at my house, right? So I get in my truck and we meet at Paul's house. Well, I guess at some point over text message or whatever, Kenzie and Rosie were talking about not taking mushrooms. And by the time like we got there, it was 10 o'clock. And so then we chilled for about an hour and a half. And Kenzie and Dom arrived Kenzie, Dom, and Dave arrived between 11 and 12. And when they got there, they were kind of like, oh, I feel like it's kind of too late. Like it's 12 o'clock at night already. I don't think we should take these. Like usually when we take them, because like I said, we've taken shrooms with them a handful of times prior to that. And there were always more of like, you know, we took them at 6, 7 o'clock and then, you know, everything was said and done by 2 a.m., you know. But at the fact that it was 12 o'clock at this point, we're like, we don't know. We don't want to take them. And then I know Kenzie and Dom, like they were on their like little health grind and eating healthy. That's where that whole McChicken thing from the documentary comes. They just clipped that. But the full explanation of the whole McChicken thing is
Emma's stuck on the 100 mile. Okay, Emma, were you in the car? Were you in the car? Were you in the car? Come up on panel if you have something we don't already know. You have some evidence? Maybe a video of you being in the car? Okay. Yeah.
that like they eat healthy and that like the fact that they eat healthy, they wouldn't do this, that she wouldn't go out of her way and harm her body like this. But that's a whole different topic. But so they were on like their health grind and they wouldn't eat just potato chips and shitty snacks that we would have. They would eat their own snacks. They'd eat healthy. They'd eat non-GMO chips, non-GMO popcorn. And so they end up forgetting all of their snacks. And when they first got there, they were there for about 10, 15 minutes. And then Kenzie was like, oh, fuck, I forgot the popcorn. I forgot our snacks. And they were kind of like on the fence about going back for it. And Kenzie talked Dom into doing it. So they ended up going back, grabbing the snacks. She ended up coming back with a big bowl of popcorn. I know they had a pack of blueberries, which the crazy story about this is I found the package of those blueberries at the accident scene after they had cleared the car out. That was like some of the scraps they left around was part of the blueberry packaging. But so they ended up going back for their snacks, just her and Dom, and then coming back. And at that point, I would say it was about 12:30. And we ended up the girls ended up doing their thing on the floor, coloring in coloring books, and me, Dave, and Dom were chilling on the couch watching shit. The girls ended up at one point going back into the back room at the night and watching High School Musical while me, Dave, and Dom still stayed up front. I think actually when they went back to watch High School Musical, I think that's when Kenzie came back up and was like, I'm going to go to sleep. She ended up sleeping, and it was just Rosie and Nina in the back watching High School Musical. And that was like the rest of the night all the way up until they left was just them in the back.
Where was Dom when Kenzie woke up?
Back room, them two girls in the back room, and us four up front with Kenzie sleeping. And so I end up getting up at like right before they leave. I end up getting up to go check on Rosie, see what she's doing, see if she's asleep or whatnot. And I peek my head around the corner. I don't see no movement. I don't see no commotion. I see the TV going. So I turn back. And once I turn back, that's when Dom and all them, Dom was waking Kenzie up to get up, and they were getting up. And I dabbed Dom up, said peace, and then Davion came up to me, gave me the hug, said, "Man, I love you." We talked about him coming home with me. He ended up opting out to go back home and shower and sleep. And then we watched them get in the car, leave. And so after that, I ended up going back into the back room with Rosie, where Rosie and Nina were, and we were contemplating if we should try falling asleep there. And I was pretty awake. I know she was kind of tired, but I know I was pretty awake. So I tried laying down for about 10 minutes. Couldn't sleep. Ended up being like, okay, let's get up. So we got up and we ended up leaving. Well, me and Rosie drove separately because we drove separately there. And we took, so if you're familiar with Strongsville, there's two main roads that connects the southern side of Strongsville to the northern side of Strongsville. It's Pearl Road and West 130th.
Pearl Road a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
Pearl Road and West 130th. Pearl Road is like that side of town. West 130th is like from east to west is on the other side of town and then runs north to south, you know? So those are the two roads. So we ended up taking West 130th home that morning. And I think in my police interview, I talk about how it was weird because I never really take West 130th home. And it was just weird.
Listen, people have been bullying me to try to silence me and making memes of me. And you guys, I know you only see some of it, but like at the end of the day, I'm not going to stop. It needs to be talked about. This whole case and everything in general. Yes.
Weird that I did that morning. Like I was like one of those weird coincidences where like, I don't know, like you wouldn't have been able to see the crash driving down Pearl, but like, you know, you would have been maybe, I don't know, like maybe I felt something if I drove closer to it. I don't know. You know, I always just think about that. And that's why I think it's a weird coincidence. But so we ended up driving down West 130th and we got to my house. And while we were on vacation, my sister ended up getting COVID. And my mom, who has the most shittiest immune system I've ever met in my life, she ended up getting it. So my mom got it, my cousin that was there got it, and my sister got it. So when we got back to the house, we remembered that my mom had COVID. And we were kind of out there like, Rose like, I don't know if I really want to go inside. Like, I might run the risk of getting COVID. And I was like, well, you can just chill in my room the whole time. I just quarantine basically in my room. My room's safe. She's like, yeah. She goes, no, I'll just go home. I don't want to run the risk. I was like, okay. So she ended up getting in her car and she took Pearl home instead of West 130th. So she drove down Pearl Road, which goes right past Progress Drive. It's just you can't see the other side of Progress Drive from Pearl.
We left off on the rereading of the text in like the middle of 2021, but now that I have gone through other police documents and records, I'm tempted to start over. I want to look at them with the right perspective, but let's hold off. Let's review a few more documents before we go back to the text, because I've been doing a lot of time reading on my off time. And I've been getting a lot of hate, so I didn't want to completely jump into them without warming up everyone to the idea of them. But we're going to get into all of it. Because at the end of the day, no matter what, everyone deserves a fair chance. Everyone deserves a fair trial. Yes, Kenzie is in the car. Yes, she was driving. Yes, she is in prison. Trial transcripts, we are going to start the trial either in the next 2 days. So if you thought you were sick of me, no, you're not. You're about to see a lot more.
It's a long road and it's a windy road. She just can't see. It's not like she drove past and saw a car crash into a building at the end of the road. No, she didn't see nothing. I don't even think she probably glanced down the road. The whole reason why that
It was in the back off the road too.
yeah, and the whole reason why that this whole story was even a story and got miscommunicated in the first place is because that morning when she was driving home at like, I would say at this point, it was like 6 a.m. after all this shit had, after us contemplating on going home at Paul's and then contemplating her coming into the house. She was probably driving home about 6 a.m. So the sun was rising. Everything was going. It was bright outside. And she remembers seeing the beautiful sunset and just thinking about how.
Is that Kalina from TT or no? Maybe the same name. Let me know. Yes, Ivory Rose. She let me play this too. So kind of her. And let's send her lots of love. I messaged her and I was like, can I please play this respectfully? Because I know a lot of you think I'm a dirty hoe, but no. I asked for permission. I'm respectful. I know a lot of people in the comments, not you guys in the chat, because we love each other, but you know what I'm saying, the haters. So yeah, shout out to her for allowing other creators to review it.
You know, she has all these memories in this city and she's about to go to college and move on with her life on the next big step of her life. And not only is she leaving her family behind, but she's leaving behind partially like this group of 6 solid people, you know, me, her, Nina, Paul, Davion, Kenzie, Dom. Like we're leaving behind this solid ass group that we've been hanging out for the last 3 months, you know, 3 months of the whole summer. It's been a solid, probably one of the most funnest solid summers we've ever had in our life. And she was just sitting there having like a wholesome moment about it. And then like coincidentally not knowing at the time that they had passed away, you know what I mean? At that exact moment, they were sitting in that car, you know? And so like afterwards, after obviously finding out about this and whatnot, that was like a story she would tell people is that like, it's just crazy, like the parallel, you know, where it's just like she was feeling those type of emotions going down Pearl and like not knowing that had just happened, you know? And one of those kids that was around to hear that story is who went into the police station and like mistranscribed it or miscommunicated it in a way of, oh, she drove right past the accident but didn't call the police. No, she didn't drive right past the accident. She drove 0.7 miles away from the accident. But that's that's where that whole story comes from, basically.
Yeah.
Neither of us owned Life 360. If there was a car that stopped there, or if Rosie's car did go by, which the police would know which car Rosie drives, and they would see that car on camera, and they didn't, obviously. And not only that, like
I've already apologized to Rosie, even though she's not here. I'll speak it into the universe. We've already talked about this because I did blame Rosie for being at that crash scene. And that's not true. So let's just remember to be kind and take accountability for shit, you know?
Even to this day, I would let the police take my phone and see if I've ever had Life 360 installed, and I haven't. I just simply haven't. That's not an app that I use. I use Find My iPhone rather than the Life 360.
Yeah.
But do you know who the first on the scene was?
So
okay, we're cute. She's cute. We're all cute. Rosie can sit with us. Yes, I said it. Boo.
I know, so I don't know like personally at all. Like I don't know who it was, but I did after the Netflix documentary came out. I saw in one of the Facebook, like on the Strongsville Moms page, I saw in the Facebook comments someone that knew the person that found them. And I guess he was some like older man that drives a motorcycle, but he didn't keep his phone. He didn't keep his phone on him when he found it. So he ended up driving past it, seen it, but then had to go all the way back home and then call police before he couldn't just call him right away. He ended up having to go back home and call him. And they had said in the comments that as of now, he has passed on. So I don't really know too much about it. I don't know anything about him, I guess, you know.
Okay, because I was just curious if one of the parents would have got an alert.
Yeah, I would
iPhone.
assume the Life 360 would have given an alert, but it didn't. It didn't give an alert of a crash. It usually it does. And that's another thing too. I'd like to I guess throw out there about Life 360, which is wild because I did see like a lot of inconsistencies with the Life 360. And what I mean by that is when they first, like when Houston and all them kids that were on that were going around showing everyone, like it was glitching out and like not giving the proper route that they took. It was like showing that they drove through woods and they did a bunch of crazy shit, like routes that you just physically couldn't drive through, you know? And I don't know how.
Wait, can we listen to this? Let me know if you can hear it.
Baby, I can punch your butt. I'm a puff baby that can dance like a man. I can shake a my fanny, I can shake a my can. I'm a tough tootin' baby, I can punch your buns. Punch your buns, I can punch all your buns. If you're an evil witch, I will punch you for fun.
I know everyone's so mad I play that. They're like, oh my God, Steve Shirilla paid you off. Thank you, Melissa says, thank you for all you do. I have no crime outlet. Otherwise, in my day-to-day, no one can relate to everyone. Finds it weird. You guys make it less shameful. Oh, thank you, Melissa. We're happy you're here with us. Thank you for being so amazing. Okay, let's continue.
I don't know why that was like that, but then that prompted me to look up, and legally, like you're not allowed to use anything off of Life 360 in court. That's not legal. It's not for legal uses. So like the fact that they push so hard, the Life 360 shows this is like, but you can't. Like, it's really like not accurate information. It's not the most accurate factual information, in my opinion. But I mean, obviously, does it? Yeah, does it give a story of what speed they were going? Yeah, you know what I mean. But the fact that it didn't notify anybody that there was a crash or any of those sorts questions me, because I mean, I think that somebody probably would have been able to get there quicker if it didn't notify.
I do not use Life 360, so I cannot relate. I'm with Bubba. I use Find My iPhone. Because one time, one of my friends told me, like, her husband, she was at home with her husband. Somebody just said this to me recently, I think. She was at home with her husband, and the Life 360 said that he was out and about. Yeah. Can you imagine? You're laying next to your husband in bed, and then Life 360 tells you he's out and about. So after that, I was like, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. I will not download Life 360. I will not do it. AJ and Plunder are the only people I even watch talk about this case anymore. Yeah, AJ's my friend. Plunder's my friend. They don't agree with me. They might still be hating on the Shirillas, and that's okay. I love them with all my heart. AJ and Plunder are two of my really good friends. So if you didn't know, now you know.
Notify them, because like you said and like we said, Davion was texting one of those kids that was in the Life 360. He was in that Life 360 group. He was texting him a minute before they died. So it's like they probably, like, those kids were up and relevant. They probably would have saw the notification go through on their phone.
I love me some AJ and Plunder. Huh. Yeah, I know. I know what you're thinking in the chat. I know. They're both amazing. They do great. They do great with the chat.
Hey, there's been an accident reported, at 90 miles per hour, sudden impact, sudden stop. Like it's usually what Life 360 tells you, but it didn't tell them in that case.
Yeah, I did notice that. So Nene, you can request to come on. Guys, Nene's in the chat. She's the one whose video I told you that I reacted to.
We're only going to watch a little bit more of this.
Come on up, because you had a lot of good information, and I appreciate those videos. Hello.
Hi.
How are you? So I reacted to your video today and I appreciated your explanation.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say first, I am not any like an expert or anything. However, I started seeing some inconsistencies with what Tim Troop was presenting compared to what was actually in the EDR file itself, the crash instruction report, and then there is Amanda, the EDR analyst on here. So if you remove her tone, that she obviously thinks that Mackenzie did this on purpose, removing that and just listening to what she has to say, and in her comment section, I got, she confirmed that yes, that hard turn is more than likely part of one turn sequence. Like she was already trying to turn, and then if you look in the original report, like the police report, it shows the tire marks far before what it shows in the grand jury presentation. Like it shows her trying, like she's going towards the left and something happened where she veered towards the right, hit that curb. After that curb, the airbags were deployed. Nothing could be stopped from there. So them saying that she intentionally aimed for that, the EDR doesn't show that. The EDR shows from airbag deployment until the last thing that was recorded, not the wall hit. From airbag deployment to the wall hit is like 1/1000. That's it. That's as quick as that happened. And she's already over the gears. Obviously, that's why it's showing this. And Toyota specifically says not to pay attention to the time frame, that all of these sensors you're seeing, the yaw, the steering, the brake pressure, the acceleration, those are all separate sensors recording simultaneously at one time. And so they're just separating it.
I will say this too. Another thing that now I haven't refreshened up on the EDR data itself. I will say from when I originally was like I've always been invested in this case, but when it was really like, the information, we were really diving deep in the information and the facts. What I gained from it is, so tell me if I'm wrong, at 4.7 seconds when the EDR started recording, is that when the car detected a rollover event?
No.
And that's when the airbags deployed?
So the TRG5 is where the airbags were deployed, and that is where the hard steering happened.
Is that when the EDR turns on? When did the EDR start recording? What caused the EDR to start recording? Because what I heard
rollover event, and
the
rollover event that didn't happen and deployed airbags.
Rollover event was more than likely the 46.6 degree angle the car went on when it is going up on that curb, because you're from that area, so that's not just a curb that is like a straight angle.
No,
it's a curb that's going from the road up.
Let me explain my theory or what I've gained from it. So all right, so at 4.7 seconds is when the EDR turns on and it records.
No, that's the last event that it recorded.
All right, so but at 4.7 is when it recorded a rollover, and that's what they said. You said no?
Yes, 4.7 seconds before
impact. Yes, before impact, right?
Not
interesting comment. Still says that everyone is lying about him being a dealer. There's nothing. Okay. We know Dom was a dealer. I don't know how else to put that other than I mean it respectfully. That doesn't mean he deserved to die. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying we know the facts of the situation and of the relationship, and it is what it is. Now, people don't want that out there. Sorry, sucks for you. Because it is public information. Thank you, Are You Barbie, for being here you've been a member for more than a month. YouTube lying. Appreciate you. Thank you for being here, girl.
Before the impact. So, you know, after the impact where you see all those invalid, right? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right. So you see where all those invalid is at the very bottom?
Yeah.
All right. So the we're looking at 18. Okay. The bottom one, if you look at table 2, that is the very last thing that the car recorded. Okay. Now, when you see that the car hits the wall and then it like goes to its final resting position, when it's in that final resting position is where this invalid is. Now you see the 168 degree turn and the 171 degree turn.
Yeah.
All right. Can you go up where it shows on table 1 the RPMs? All right. Do you know anything? Right. No. Yeah, right there. Do you know anything about like vehicles or anything?
I mean, I know a decent bit. Like I work on them and fix them, but like, not to the craziest extent.
No, I don't. You don't have to. But if you're pressing the gas 100% and you're in park, what are your RPMs doing?
Rather to the max. They're going up.
They're going up. So you see where her RPMs, she's on the road. Then you see where it jumps up to almost at like 6,900, 6,500. She's going airborne there. There's no traction on.
Yeah.
And also if you go over the throttle, look at the throttle. Like that is nowhere near even halfway open right there.
Yeah.
And then
I thought that was weird too,
wall,
the 13 and 23.
Where she hits the wall, right there where it says RPM 6,700. That gas is still going straight forward, or all the way down, but the car is not going anywhere. And then that's where it flips over and it's at its final resting point. So where you see the TRG 5 would be, can you go out just a little bit? All right, on table 2, where you see the brake pressure.
Right here.
That is right above that, but not where you see it on this table. Right between those seconds, that is where the airbags were deployed.
All right.
But you can't look at the seconds. You can't look at the seconds, though. That's what I'm saying. That's not accurate. And it says it in this report that time is not accurate. This is all happening together.
All right, because how I originally looked at it, because like I didn't go too crazily deep on the table and like the EDR. I just went off of like what I was heard in court or what I was told, and like what I had came up with was, so from the point of impact, if they're going 100 miles per hour, and I know it drops down to like 88.6 or whatever at the last recorded speed or whatever. But if you take the average of 190 miles per hour and you put that in, how far do you travel for 4.7 seconds at that speed? You travel like 230 yards. It's 2 football fields length of distance, right?
260 feet.
So at 4.7 seconds, 1 second at 100 miles per hour, you're moving 140 feet per second. So take that 140 feet and times it by 4.7, you get 600 and something 80 feet. That translated into yards is about 230 yards.
Damn, Bubba is good with these numbers.
So I went on Google Map or Google Earth and I put in 680 feet away from the impact point. And right there, right exactly at 4.7 seconds where that distance is, there used to be this humongous like divot in the road. Like I'm talking, me and Rosie drove down that road at 50 miles per hour and we went airborne. Like this divot was huge. It was a huge like random just bump in the road, like just a random bump that formed there over the years of the road. And they actually, when the accident happened, before the judge could go drive down the road, they went through and they replaced that whole section of road. They removed that whole section of road where that bump was. But like now knowing this information, I look differently at it, but I just.
Okay, road repair paid by taxpayers, but what the fuck? That's sus. People be saying Bubba's dumb. No. We like Bubba now. Bubba can come sit with us. Come, Bubba. Let's have some drinks. Let's smoke a joint. Respectfully, we've been judging. We have, I think Kalina said it earlier. People came for Bubba and Rosie, and that's crazy. because I was a part of that too.
Thought at the time it was weird that those distances matched up to a T, like to a T, where it says that this airbag or this rollover event occurred to where how far it was on maps. It was exactly where it was said it was supposed to be. And then I did another test where I drove the road at 25 miles per hour, and I was like, so right where that divot was, I was like, I was at 25 miles per hour, and I drove all the way down to the end of the road where they crashed at. And I kept in mind the little 20 yards, 30 yards of grass up to the building. And that math even came out to be the exact same distance that they say that this whole airbag roll.
We were loud and wrong, and we are taking accountability here at Milliverse. And if no one else wants to, I'm not a follower. Sorry. You can unsubscribe, hate me in the comments, trash me in other chats, say that I'm trash. Whatever.
Rollover event went off on. So I was believed that the rollover event wasn't caused from a curb. It was caused from that divot in the road. But now after you guys have explained it to me, you know what I mean? I've understood it a little bit more.
Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Yeah, the rollover event, actually, the car felt like it was rolling over, and it was at a 46.6 degree angle. That's more than half of 90 degrees. That's more than, like, the car literally thought it was flipping.
Yeah.
That's why the airbags came out.
Yep.
And you know what? Listen, in these case files, if it's being read, Tim Troop knew all of this. Every single thing, he knew it, and he presented it like he literally was gaslighting everybody. Yeah. Because none of this if this starts when the airbags deploy, she's already over the shifter. Like, there's nothing that they can do about it. And they already knew that she was turning left. They already knew. It's in the original report. There's a diagram. And something happened to this car. Like, they gave themselves reasonable doubt, not Mackenzie.
So Nina, let me ask you, what is your explanation? What do you think happened?
I just think exactly what the state tried to present, that she was a reckless driver. And I'm not saying that she was. I am not saying that. I'm saying based on the facts showing that she did drive 90 miles per hour plus on multiple.
So the person that's talking is Nay, Beyond the Verdict with Nay on TikTok. She's another person who's been covering the case.
Occasions while recording herself, while like casually, she did this casually. There is evidence that shows that she was a 17-year-old misguided child who did not use her common sense. So obviously they're probably just driving like to her it's normal. And also in expert testimonies, they say that driving in the daylight, let alone dark, that tree covers the stop sign, it obscures the view of the building. So she sees it last minute and there's nothing. Yeah. They say, I don't know, Landon, if you can like back this part up, but also in there, Tyler says, I don't know why Davion would be snapping with me if there was something wrong or something going on in that car.
Yeah, I agree. I totally think, and this not only even the text message, the fact that they didn't have their seatbelts on properly tells me too that something was up, because I know damn well if she was crashing out and was screaming and wanting to crash that car, the first thing that's going through Davion, at least Davion's head, is putting his seatbelt on. As being like a third party person in there, you know, like almost like a third wheel in a way. Like, you know, maybe he doesn't know if he feels comfortable speaking on too much of their relationship. Like, I would just put my seatbelt on before I would start trying to calm the situation down. That'd be the first thing I do, is put my seatbelt.
I've heard nothing from Bubba in this interview that it makes him seem like a dick, respectfully. I really haven't. He's generally doing it. Yeah, I like his vibe, how he's just coming in here talking like just a regular person.
I feel like that's what he would do. And another thing I do want to touch back on too that you just said is I can confirm that like going down that road in complete pitch darkness, you can't see that building. Can't. And, like you literally just can't.
I've seen pictures
And like,
of it. It's dark.
like yeah, like and at the beginning of the road there are street lights. At the end of the road there is no street lights. It is complete and utter darkness at the end of that road.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
there's
also
something
say
else,
too, like
there's
the airbags deploying early, like completely discredits the fact that she precisely put that car in the corner of the building.
Yeah, the steering literally jumps from where you see she's going left. It's like 7 degrees left, 9 degrees left, 4 degrees left, and then it jumps from 4 degrees left to 25 degrees right. And then so that's a significant turn. It's 4.5 to negative 25.5, I think. That's a 30-degree jump.
Yeah.
Plus, and then it goes from negative 25.5 to negative 88. That's even more. That's even like them saying that it was a hard turn that caused the airbags. No, the airbags and that hard 142-degree turn happened exactly at the same time.
This is interesting because I agree with both of you. She was reckless. They were all reckless, right? Didn't Davion lose his license?
He crashed multiple cars. I know that.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's being young, it's being stupid, definitely reckless, right? I absolutely agree that she should serve time in jail. I do believe that she's the reason these boys are dead because of her recklessness and her stupidity being a kid, right? And that immortality feeling that we all had when we were young. Yep. I really believe that. However, I don't think anything, and especially with this drive, does it show intent to me. I don't see the intent for her to drive right into that building.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
it was a reason for them.
And I don't mean this in a dark way or a disrespectful way, but she had 4 years to unalive him. They have broken up many times. He's cheated on her. I mean, the list is long, right? Nikita says, I started watching Melly with absolutely no opinion. I still have no real opinion. Lots of explanations go through my head. Thank you, Nikita. Appreciate that. In the beginning, if you told me Bubba may be the voice of reason, I would have. I know, Barbie. And now I fuck with Bubba. I do.
To look into her past. Like now that all these extra recordings are coming out, it gave them a reason to start looking at supporting evidence.
Yep.
Because this EDR does not. It does not prove intent.
It does not say
this
right.
EDR shows the crash. The EDR shows the crash. And also I want to add before I forget, I'm so sorry. When she's turning on to that, what is it? Progress?
Kalina is on TikTok too. Everyone support. I'll drop links in the description in the chat. Kalina says, apparently Toyota settled 400 cases having to do with accelerator issues. Learning something new every day. Thank you for that.
If you slow down that, maybe, I'm sorry, it's at the light.
Yeah.
If you really slow that down and you brighten it up and add the add contrast and everything, you can see that Dominic is holding like a tablet of some sort or something. And Davion is kind of like between the driver's seat and the passenger seat. He's also got his phone right there. Like they're showing her things while she's driving fast also. This is not they're very casual. It looks very casual.
I'm interested on that tablet, dude, because like there was no so I remember
maybe not a tablet, maybe it was just his phone.
The device, that light. This interview is almost over. Please hit the like button. We have questions about the device in the car, right? Because in Detective Jesus report, they say that they saw a device, digital device in the car. I don't know. We don't even have the records for Dom's phone either, so there's that.
Yeah, I see. I saw that light when we first saw that footage. I saw that light instantly, and I had just automatically assumed that it was Davion being on his phone since we knew Dave was on his phone. You know, I just thought it was him being on his phone. But now that like it's been blowing up and I've been seeing all these images and I've been seeing, you know, enhanced or, you know, whatever image it's been messed with, like it kind of really does seem like it's like a laptop or a tablet. Like, I don't know, like it doesn't seem like it's a small phone putting off a lot of light. It seems like it's a big device putting off a lot of light. And that's just not found in evidence at all. That's just trips me out.
Yeah, it could be his laptop because I've heard a lot of people saying that. But also when you mess with the, like when you start enhancing it and messing with it, it also does look like it could be just like a phone blended in with the reflection of the light that's already reflecting. You know?
Yeah, I thought his laptop was smashed. And if we go back and review, I don't know if it was a body cam or the pictures, we might have to review everything again. I think it was in the pictures. Actually, there is, I thought, a laptop case. Miss Amanda says, didn't Miss Russo mention something of his laptop being smashed? I can't remember if it was a laptop or the phone. It's in her interview with Hazu, which is on my videos tab with no commentary. So I'll have to go back and listen. I thought it was a phone.
Makes sense. No, I mean, I would assume that it's just a phone because, I mean, I think that if there was a tablet or a laptop found, that would be like taken pictures of, you know, like how they took pictures of all the other devices found and stuff.
But even that too, the being on their phones casually, they're not calling for help, right? So that right there shows that they were distracted. I'm sure they were talking about everything that went on at the party, right? Oh, did you hear so-and-so said this? Did you see that? Why didn't we do anything? Like, I'm sure they were having conversations, showing phones, totally distracted in the dark, obviously exhausted. They were at the zoo. They went to that first party. They were up that night. You know what I mean? So they had to have been tired. And again, that plays a big part in it. And we don't know about the drug situation. We don't know what they did before they even got to Paul's house or if they even did anything after.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Says a family story that she knew he was going to break up with her, and that's why she did. This is completely unproven, seen as they broke up all the time. Every other day in the text messages. They were fighting and breaking up. Facts.
House, right?
I mean, even when my fucking mom found out, she found out from my head football coach, and my head football coach heard that they were on LSD. That's what they heard. And I was like, well, I feel like we'd be able to tell, like, if they were on a psychedelic like that. Like, if we were with them that night, I would be able to tell if they were tripping on some form of psychedelic. And to our best of capabilities, they weren't. Like, there was no clear telltale signs that was what was happening. And, like, and this is what I like to, like, I tell everyone at the end of the day is that, like, the thing that me and Rhodes sit here and say is that, no, we don't think that she should just completely be free out of jail, walking free. No, we think that this case was investigated not improper. That I just simply, we don't believe that they got into a fight, and that's what caused that car to crash. There's no evidence pointing towards that. All the evidence, all of the eyewitnesses, all of the credible evidence that does point to that points in the opposite direction. So, like, I just don't believe that. And, like, anything else that it could be other than intentional murder, and that, what I mean by that is, you know, reckless driving, a medical condition, suicide, anything, I can forgive her for that. You know, I can forgive her if they were recklessly driving and that happened, because knowing them two boys, they weren't in fear. You know, they weren't sitting there freaking out.
Anybody. It could have been anybody.
It was,
Jamie in the comments, Jamie, I love you to death, man. You know I do. But you said that behavior predicts future behaviors. Well, I mean, I had my instances as a teenager where I did things that were reckless, right? But it doesn't mean as an adult we grow up.
Ivory says this because I've said this many times. We all have made mistakes as teenagers, as adults. I've made many. I did my time. I paid my dues. Should do that, and we should get into that in an after dark or something. But nonetheless, she's right.
To be reckless,
it doesn't define.
You can't just say that. You know what I mean? Like that her history of behaviors or her history or her behaviors now predicts who she's going to be or what she did. Like, you got to remember that even at 20 years old, what was Dom, 20?
Yeah.
right? Like that's still young, still reckless, still I absolutely believe that they were being stupid and reckless.
I was
Right? Like their lifestyle at the time shows it.
I was a completely different person at that time. I was a completely different person in the months of going into college and experiencing college. And I'm a completely different person now, like completely. Like my thoughts on everything and the way that I am and my emotions and the way I handle them, they're all completely different from how it was back in the day. So like, yeah, I would agree. Like it's not true that someone's actions, especially as a 17-year-old, is going to dictate what they do in the future. Now it's different, if you're a 27-year-old and you do some things and you're like, and then that kind of gives some people the right maybe to say, okay, yeah, I could see you doing that 20 years.
Yeah, the channel is Ivory and the person that was speaking with Bubba was Nay.
Down the road, But when you're at a 17-year-old or any age younger than that, no, you can't take what somebody does and say, oh, that's how they're going to be in the future,
Yeah, I agree. Nene, you were writing something in the chat. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, it was just on the comment on where they said past behavior predicts future behavior. It can. I just watched that same document where the psychiatrist said that. I was just stating like it can predict it. Obviously, because she's been a reckless driver before, that can predict that she did this recklessly.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Not like the way you can't just always take it negatively.
I meant more towards like the maturity levels. I guess. Yeah. I guess I meant more like the maturity levels in the way that, her reactions are to certain situations or the way that her and Dom fought. That could definitely be grown upon and expanded on.
But if they were to present the EDR the way that it is, the experts themselves say that it is, the crash reconstruction report says, there would be no reason to look into any part of their lives at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
Zero at all.
Well,
I feel like there was
and we wouldn't be discussing this, and we wouldn't be pulling apart every single one of her actions, because if this was an innocent person, everybody would be saying you can't judge somebody on how they grieve.
Dad. And let's be real, and I'm not trying to, she's her actions, just the way she is, her attitude, her personality, she's not really likable. For all of us who went to high school, to me she was the mean girl, right? And it is what it is. That's what she is showing. Right? I don't know her personally, and that's what we see. And I think people want to not like her. Mm-hmm. I also think that people wanted somebody to be responsible. They wanted this to be a murder. And so they pushed that narrative. And I think when people want to see something, no matter what you show them in front of their face to speak otherwise, they're going to make everything come to the conclusion that they want.
That's absolutely true. Mm-hmm. It really is. But I think a lot of these people that are doing that, they're thinking that everybody needs to let this go, because obviously Dominic and Davion's family and their friends, everybody needs to heal. But healing from losing somebody from an accident and healing from somebody purposely taking them from you, that's a totally different process.
And I would want to heal from the truth.
Like it really is. And it doesn't matter how we see her. It doesn't matter how evil we think that she is. She still deserves the right to a fair trial, and she did not get that.
That's all. That's exactly how I feel, is that no matter what information comes out, no matter what fights, whatever level of toxicity comes out, I just want to know the truth, and I want to know the best investigated route to that accident. I don't want to know some bullshit made up story. But I will say this. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna go get me some ice cream. But there is one thing I'd like to say, because I heard you mention it like a little bit ago about the mean girl, or she a mean girl, or whatever. And I want to say this on this live, because I said it on the last live, is so that whole Mean Girl Murders documentary. Let me spill some tea about that. So They claim in there that her, Rosie, and Kenzie were like the Regina George and the Mean Girls, right? And they would walk down the hallways bullying people. Isn't that right? Here's what's crazy. We were all in high school the same year, right? We were all same graduating class. Freshman year, Kenzie attended high school. I remember because I'd see her and Dom walk around. Sophomore year, a couple months in, was COVID. We ended up going online. All sophomore year, we were online. Junior year, it was half online, half in person, but you could opt and choose if you wanted to be all online. So Kenzie was all online junior year. So she did not attend the high school sophomore year nor junior year. Senior year, and I'd like to say this, let's get her attendance record of senior year, because I had one class with her where I only saw her attend that class once the entire year, the entire year. So like this whole fucking thing of them being in high school, it was a complete made up story. It was a made up narrative to like feed into that. And like I said, like go back and find that video that Kenzie sent to Rosie of her talking about doing her nails and talking about pearls, whatever that date is when they is relatively, I would say give or take a few weeks, is relatively when they started talking a lot. Anything before that, they were not friends. They did not talk. They weren't like really deeply involved with each other. So like anything before that, it's all bullshit. Oh, them being in school, them being the Regina George of the school, it's all bullshit. It's completely made up. Rosie in high school was like the complete opposite. She was more of an introvert. She was more of like, had her little friend group and went about her day. I was more of like the class clown. I was the one that was, always just being obnoxious and causing a scene and causing attention to myself like that. We were two completely different opposite people when it came to that in school. And so when we saw this Mean Girls doc and saw that, they're saying that Rosie, Nina, and Kenzie were walking in a line of 3 down the hallway, like pushing people out the way. I'm like, that's complete and utter bullshit. It's bullshit.
Hey, Landon, before you leave, can I give you a little bit of introspect?
What's up?
And I agree with you. I want to be really clear. I have not heard you speak at all until tonight. And I was against you and Rosie. I'm going to be quite honest. Like, I thought you guys were like, but just simply because I didn't even start doing lives until like last week. So I had no idea. I love Ivory Rose because this is the reason. Now I'm completely opposite. I see where you're coming from. So what I was trying to bring to the table is,
I think it's the end of Bubba.
Smell it on you from time to time.
Oh, let's see what he says.
Or I could have been in accidents like that.
Yeah.
Like hanging out of cars and doing things like that and doing, what. I just got that sort of feeling from her family. And like at that age, like, their brains aren't even fully developed yet. I just felt like there was a lack of guidance, but correct me if I'm wrong.
I would, from what I've known on this family, from like the times I've been over there with her and Dom and we've hung out, like the general feeling that I've gotten from her mom and dad is that like they knew she smoked weed, but like anything else on top of that, they didn't know. They didn't know that there was guns involved. They didn't know that he was really that much of a drug dealer. I mean, I don't think that she would just go and tell her parents, hey, my boyfriend is this big drug dealer and he does this and he does that. I don't think that's how that whole conversation went down. I think that there was a lot of hidden information. I think there was probably questions asked towards her, like, well, how can you afford this? If I've never seen him go clock in at a job, and she's probably had to make up a little bullshit lie or whatnot to get herself out of it. But no, I don't think that they were fully aware of everything to the extent. And now, obviously, all this information has came out and all this stuff, they are aware now and they talk about it now. But I just don't think that they go about, I don't think that they go about in the right manner of talking about it as if they didn't know that it was going on at the time. I think that they maybe need to do a little bit better job of making it known that, hey, we didn't know all of this stuff was going on at the time. We knew that she was smoking weed and they were smoking weed, but anything other than that, they didn't know about. And even like with me, with my parents, like my mom even told me, she goes, I suspected you smoked. I could smell it on you from time to time, but I was never going to confront you about it because that's like what teenagers do. That's what kids do. They're going to do it.
Okay, let's get over the smoking thing because I mean, I'm in Cali, so we be smoking on the way to the toilet.
And if you try to enforce them not to do it, they're going to go harder at it and try to do it more behind your back, you know? And that's what a lot of parents' perspectives were here. But like, I'll say this, man, like I couldn't tell you how many different parents on the football team that we would go and drink with. They'd buy us booze and we'd get there and we'd get sloshed. And then we'd drive home at 5 a.m, you know, like, and they all knew it. Everyone was consciously aware of it. The parents were, nobody cared. So like, when it comes to Kenzie's parents, I think they weren't as bad as those other parents were. I think that now that the media is just so attentive on them and that they're just dissecting every little thing, they're getting painted in a really, really bad light. But no, I don't think that they were like misguiding parents or that they weren't, you know, enforcement on their daughter. Like I know multiple times when Rosie would tell me that Kenzie got grounded, you know, and stuff like that. So like stuff did happen. Like she did get grounded. She did get punished if they found out about certain things. But like even to this day, like there are certain situations that Kenzie's never told her parents the fullest extent on. And then we told them, they're like, what the fuck? Like, we're like, we never heard that, you know? So I just think that like, it's just all painted in a real bad light in a way, you know? And I just truly don't think that they were some shit ass parents. You know, I think they were good parents. I think they cared about them. And another thing people got to realize too, is like, especially in that era of parenting, that's when it came, like, I feel like it started to switch a lot. Like I felt like some parents, and I'm not saying this is Mackenzie's case, but like, I feel like some parents kind of try to make it more of an effort to become a friend of their kids and not a parent, and not in a bad light though, not in a bad way. Like I know so many parents that would like still parent and punish their kid, but then still approach them and act with them and like when their friends are over as if they were a friend, you know, and they're not going to sit there and enforce and be some Karen, you know, they're going to be a little bit more chilled, a little bit more laid back when friends are around. And then, you know, that kid might hear about it once those friends leave, you know, that's something that we just don't know, but that's something that's between them, you know? So I just think that, and that's another thing too, is that like, we can't base their parenting skill just solely off of the text messages shown.
Oh my gosh, I've been saying this. I'm so glad I watched this.
And, you know, and her dad coming out and saying that he knew she smoked weed. Okay. Like I know, like I said, my parents knew that. I know a bunch of other parents probably knew that. So it's like, it's not really a bad thing. And it might vary on areas that you're from, you know, or if the little local, or like the little local city is a little bit more religious than, you know, your big hometown city that's 15 minutes from the main city, you know, like, so there's so many different variables that vary in that aspect. And it's just the simple fact that it's being broadcasted for the whole entire world, and the whole entire world consists of so many different people with so many different beliefs on how to parent a kid, that like eventually it just, you know, people are just rolling with what the majority is saying in a way. And I'm not saying that, you know, maybe there's some things that they could have punished her more on, or they could have enforced more on her. Yeah, I mean, you could say that with every fucking parent nowadays, you know? It's just the simple fact that they got blasted in the media.
Do you think that the documentary painted them in a bad light?
Better than what I thought, honestly. I honestly thought that they were like, when we filmed with them, I thought that they were going to be really focused on like the friend group and like that side of the story, because they were so big on like, they're like, well, no one's ever heard from you guys. No, you guys didn't go into court. You guys didn't do this. Like, no one's ever heard your story. So we want your whole story to be heard. So we were like, that was the impression we were under. And we kind of thought that anything else around that was just going to be like filler information in a way. And I do think that there was a lot of information that they left out that would have helped her parents out, and things like how Dom had made a scrapbook that month of like their love life and was sending her love letters, and was putting pictures in there. And that was all in the documentary, but they cut it out. They completely cut it out, didn't put it in there. And it's like, but that shows how they weren't on the stage of breaking up that week or that day, you know, that they were that month, they were perfectly fine, you know? And then like, they also, like, I know they left out, like, and this is what makes me real mad in a way, is that like everyone just tries to put these text messages between Dom's mom and Kenzie about that incident on the highway. And like, I'm sorry, nobody cares about those text messages. Like, yeah, they're relevant, but the ones that are the most relevant are the ones between her and Dom. Like, those are what matter. Those are
Oh, good point, Landon.
like solely what matter as key evidence in this situation, in this case. And not only have the families, not only have the prosecution, but now also Netflix has refused to show those text messages to the world. And like, people forget that this whole entire murder with intent, the piece of evidence that's hanging off of is this situation on the highway a week prior. That's what completely helped build their whole entire motive of intent and stuff. And it's completely factually wrong, like based off of evidence. And they just refuse to talk about the evidence that proves that wrong. And that's where I really feel like they should have done their job and at least put those text messages in there, because that just gave the right to other people kind of beating around the bush between the text messages between Dom's mom and Kenzie, or they can make up lies, or she was just victim blaming, or she was just saving
people
face.
the ability to question the situation and not just listen to the one narrative and nothing else.
Yep. Because like, I'm sorry, when you look at a text message, if I heard of some incident where someone was driving on a highway and their boyfriend tried grabbing the steering wheel in a way of a threatening manner and whatnot, and it comes out that there's eyewitnesses that say that it was the girlfriend, it was the girl that did it, but then there's text messages from the very man himself, admitting he was trying to harm himself, that if anybody would be harmed in that situation, it would have been him first and her second, and that he's sorry. Like, these are words that came off of his phone. So it's like, how are you going to tell me that's wrong? How are you going to tell me that's wrong and that's not true? It came from his cellular device. It came from the phone that's in his pocket. How are you telling me that's wrong? You know, and that's what it really just sets me. That's what that main piece of evidence right there is really what decides my whole decision on this case, that people are lying. Is that literally that sole piece of evidence is all it took for me to just be like, okay, this is bullshit. This is a complete bullshit.
Thank you. I'm sorry for keeping you from your ice cream, Landon. Thank you for answering my questions, and I'm really sorry.
It's good. The ice cream will always be there. I'll tell you, it'll always be there.
So funny.
That was a great interview. Great interview with Bubba. I'm impressed. I've been wanting to cover that, and I think it was time. It was time before we review everything else, because we're going to go through everything else. We're going to go through police reports involving the Shirillas, involving the Russos. Yeah, it is what it is. Very good interview. Yes, it was. Bubba and Rosie can sit with us. I believe the prosecutors be in the comments and lives. Ooh, Kalina. Well, Tim Troop, you shady little you. Detective Hazoo, too. I got you, Detective Hazoo. You think you'd be sneaky over there. Smells like something fishy. I would like to ask Detective Hazoo, how did you not ever mention you being so familiar with the Russos when you showed up to their house for 911 calls all the time? I don't have much on the Shirillas, though, if you mean in terms of documents and charges. So I say let that speak for itself. Hazoo Laud, he's in on it for sure, right? Yeah, Detective Hazoo, you think you're getting away. No, you are not. You are not. We're on to you at Milliverse. Melly, I really appreciate you being willing to look at everything from both sides and changing your views when finding new information. It's important, Calissa. Thank you for being here and supporting. Thank you to all of you who watched this whole interview with me tonight. Like I said, we will be starting Kenzie adult trial transcripts this week. We're going to be reviewing the old appeal. We're going to be reviewing the bindover. We're going to be reviewing Ohio 16, Crazy Laura Owens. So we have a lot, but I'm not done speaking on Mackenzie Shirilla. Hey girl, I love every single one of your videos and how open. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for being here. Alexa, Drakey, Evie, Barbie, Cree, Kalina, Julio, everyone who was here supporting and who gifted. Drakey, are you Barbie? Melissa, Drakey again, Courtney, Julio, Stace, Stas baby. Can I call you that? Okay, Sarah, and then you lost to a girl, all for becoming members. I am planning the members only right now, so I need to add a few more things. It's gonna get spicy. So don't come unless you're ready for it, because I don't want to hear the shit. Respectfully. I know. Can't wait for the trial transcripts. I'll be here. Yes, I've been waiting to get into them. And again, we are just listening to all the facts and information. Shout out to the Shirillas. Shout out to Bubba. Shout out to Rosie. We have judged Rosie and Bubba too harshly, and they have been bullied enough. And let's be the bigger person. Let's be different. We see how much I get bullied for having an open mind. So it's not a pleasant feeling. So let's just remember that. I listened to a quote, maybe from a show, but it was like, was it from a show? People will forget what you wear, what you have, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. So let's be on that side. Yeah. Let's do something a little different. I know I'll get a lot of pushback, but I'll take it. I'll take that hit. If it means I can stay true to myself and you guys appreciate it and I appreciate you, that's all I need. Shout out to Free Mackenzie Shirilla in the chat. Good to see you, love. Thank you for being here. Kalina, thank you for being here. Is anyone losing their mind? Yes. Lost it a long time ago. Keyboard thug, get over it. Like, we get it. Okay, you made your point. You don't like Kenzie. Boo-hoo. Get over it. She deserves a fair trial. Oh my God, I'm so sick of hearing like, she was a bully. Okay, we already have gone through this like a million times. Respectfully. Anyways, my marbles were lost long ago. Bubba is real. I like Bubba. Keyboard, go to the corner. Yeah, shout out to Bubba and Rosie. Anyways, shout out to you guys for being here. Please make sure you hit the like button. Shout out to all the replay viewers. We got new subs. Shout out to all the new subs. I will be back tomorrow. I'm posting a Taylor Parker video, a Kenzie clip tonight, and I'm still going through Kenzie documents. So, like I said, I appreciate you guys for being here. I will see you on the next one. RIP Dom and Davion. We will not forget that they were the victims. But again, don't get it twisted. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye.